I got to play. It's a guy that we both like.
There's one that sold for 61 on April 27th.
Damn.
Free shipping. Hell yeah, man.
It's not the obvious guys that win you your league.
Oh, I'm on the clock. Oh, no, I got auto-picked.
Oh, there's one.
Oh, you missed your pick. People start going way off the board here.
That's a steal, baby.
I was clicking the button. This is all messed up now. How do we get so many auto picks? 2, 1.
Nailed it.
Who is ready to hunt tonight as Steve cracks? Not a beer, folks. That's an energy drink because we're getting ready to dig in to some football card action. That's right. We're back on the quest entering week 4. It's your host, Andy, a.k.a. AC, with my man, Scaladesi, a.k.a. the eBay Hitman. Steve, Bears might be 0-3, and my Bucks might have lost Monday night, but we're winners. We're winners heading into week 4. How you feeling, man?
Feeling good. I got only one squad that's really suffering in fantasy right now, but you look at the greater good. We got a lot of good things going on, and Andy, I think there's one really good thing going on that we may have gotten on last week's show that we want to share.
Yeah, that's right, man. So if you guys were tuned in last week, we put in a 5-leg parlay on Underdog Fantasy. Actually, I don't know if we did both of these 5-leg parlays on Underdog Fantasy or if it was just one, but we definitely did one. I didn't go back and actually watch and confirm. We definitely did this first one, and we won, man. We actually did it. We won 2 5-leg parlays and a 4-leg parlay, brother. I got to shout out Derek Richard for this 4-leg parlay. I put this one in on Sunday right before lock at 1:00 in a Discord member-only live stream. And Derek said, over on Braxton Berrios. And we got there by half a yard. So, Derek, I owe you, man, next time I come up to Boston. But these 5-leg parlays, man, we had a good week. A lot of things panned out like we thought they would. That game between the Chargers and Minnesota turned into a back and forth shootout at the end. It started off a little slow. We had the freebies, and that's what's beautiful. UnderdogFantasy.com, guys. Promo code Quest. They give you freebies almost every week now, and it's usually like half a yard on something. You're just picking over under on the stats. Promo code Quest gets you 100% instant deposit bonus if you want to get in it with us this week. We're going to be doing a slip by the end of this video. But first, we want to start talking about making these bold predictions heading into the rest of the season because we've seen 3 weeks now, Steve. 3 weeks. So do you feel that you can make some approximations after now week 3? Or do you feel like there's still a lot of question marks and we got to see more in week 4?
I think there's definitely a few things we can make some general statements on, but it's a lot of football left. And even a team as pathetic as the Bears could turn it around to some degree. I'm not expecting a miracle, but in the form of a functional offense, especially when, Fields had a top 5, top 6 QBR over a 7-week stretch last season. That's not like a magic trick. Like there's something to that. Just a matter of, finding what made that work again.
So speaking of Justin Fields, I think we may be talking about him every week only because he's been one of the most underwhelming quarterbacks and just team performances as a whole with question marks after 3 weeks. And the values on him have dropped so much. When I look at the 2021 draft class, Steve, and I look at that hype coming in, man, we had Justin Fields at the top of that with Trevor Lawrence, and we were really thinking he'd get there, and now he's gone down, like 40%, 50% on some cards, pretty big prices. And now whenever I plug him in and I look at his hype index score, typed in 2020 there. I want to look at 2021, Steve. But yeah, this has gone down a lot. So I'm going to filter here by 2021 and come in here and look at the hype score now. Right now, based on how much he's throwing the ball, I got Mac Jones. And I know we want to share some statistics with you guys, some analytics, and talk about the differences in these quarterbacks. And where they are in terms of fantasy and how that correlates over to football cards and their average resale values. We're going to look at eBay and COMC. But Steve, this app, as you know, and all you guys that are premium members out there, you have access to this app. You can see the hype score that takes into account how well they're doing above or below how bad they're doing compared to their projected fantasy output or their projected production on the field. And then we also take into account how old they are, how young they are. Obviously, the team score, all that kind of stuff goes into this hype index score. So, yeah, then we show you the amount of PSA cards in general, their rookie cards specifically, added to the PSA database over the past 7 days. And this is their the cheapest rookie ticket auto that they have right now listed on eBay for sale.
Yeah. Interesting one at the top there, Mr. Mac Jones. And actually, I brought him up, Andy, before the stream for a notable reason. And, we're going to go over it just for the quarterbacks right now. But in the standard scoring format, believe it or not, he is in the top 10. He is actually the ninth overall in points for fantasy quarterbacks. And not to mention, probably a free agent in basically every league, except for the deepest of leagues. So definitely worth noting there. Now, Andy, you might have a different scoring setting pulled up. Whatever league you have there. I'm using the Yahoo standard, which is what a lot of people use.
You're looking at fantasy points per game, right?
I'm looking at total fantasy points.
So total fantasy points. But the thing is, he had this monster week 1 that buoyed him. And this was before he started, kicking and punching guys in the balls again. Like, I don't know what it is with this guy and freaking wanting to hit other dudes in their family jewels. Like, what is, why, Mac? That's like the number one thing as a man, not to do. But yet, I saw some pretty convincing evidence that this is, in fact, what he did to Sauce Gardner. And I know I saw him intentionally do it on Monday Night Football to Jaquan Brisker a year ago. And who knows how many times he's done it since then.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's definitely something you don't do. But, there's a lot of dirty stuff that happens in football. And, call it out when you see it, man. There's no excuse for that. While you're pulling that up, I definitely got to address something in the chat. A couple people saying that Miami is overhyped. I got news for you. They were crushing everybody last year before Tua got hurt. They are not overhyped. Not at all.
Let me say what's up to Rick. I see Rick out there. I really appreciate you, Rick. He picked us over the Republican debate. I appreciate that, man. No politics here. I think we can all agree unanimously that Mac Jones should not be hitting anybody in their testicles. Kenny Tucker, Republican or Democrat? We got Kenny Tucker in the house. Let's see, Mr. T. Mr. T in the house. Appreciate you guys.
Diamond,
J.
I don't know if
Kidd.
you know who Skylar Thompson is, but he was their quarterback in the playoffs last year.
Scott, yeah. Scott, the thing is, Mike White, and you look at the statistics right now, Mike White has 100% deep ball completion percentage. He's only thrown 2 passes, and one of those was touchdown. So Carter reminded us yesterday on the QuestCast that his favorite play right now in the market is Mike White. And I saw some interesting Mike White listings earlier, and I was like, man, talk about handcuff. And this is one thing I think is a critical strategy in sports cards, Steve, that goes underutilized is handcuffing. I think far too often people put a lot of their eggs, maybe not all their eggs, but they put a lot of their eggs in the starter's basket, only to be let down, disappointed if they were to get hurt or drastically underperform. But if you handcuff that starter, especially with sports cards, with the backup, because of how cheap you can potentially get the backup sometimes, if anything happens to that starter, all of a sudden you're making potentially 6 to 10x your investment on good cards. We say that in quotation. We'll talk more about what good cards are in this stream. Let me say what's up to a couple more people real quick, Steve. Sean, Brian, Brian said he likes the Mike White call. Diamond Dog Sports. I like that name. Diamond Dog Sports. Beer greater than energy drinks. Hey, I got my beer tonight right here. Check this out. We got a Dead Parrot, Florida Avenue Brewing Company.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You'll have to introduce me to that one when I'm down there next time.
Light lager with sea salt and fresh limes. It's pretty tasty. And it's a Steve eBay Hitman. I got the little. This was when my kids were babies. This was like the milk purse. So I got my second beer staying nice and refrigerated in the milk purse. Kovu knows what's up. He's in the house. Moto Blonde is in the house. Travis House is in the house. Still too early to write anyone off. And that's the thing. We're through 3 weeks. Is it time to start writing people off and just say, hey, this is the assumption for these teams, like Tennessee, for example, Chicago, the look at the Jets, Steve, I definitely got to get your take on the Jets and how Robert Saleh is all of a sudden now, Mr. Apologetic is now like, all right, yeah, Zach Wilson's bad, because all the defensive players in the locker room are fed up, man. And they've got Matt Ryan reaching out, Carson Wentz reaching out, Colin Kaepernick writing a letter with all his references in there on why he should run their practice squad.
I think we maybe touched on it last week, but a guy that could end up on the Jets if things don't go well this week. Who might that be, Andy? Kirk Cousins, perhaps.
Wait, so Kirk Cousins, you think may be traded to the Jets?
There is a strong chance. It's not been formally discussed in the public, but if they go 0-4, that team could come apart pretty quick.
If they go 0-4, you've got Justin Jefferson. You want to pay him. You drafted Jordan Addison. He looks like he's going to turn out to be a champ. You already got TJ Hawkinson. So the weapons are incredible. The line sucks, though. The line is battling injuries. The offensive line, not good. So this is why Kirk Cousins, one of the reasons why Kirk Cousins, even though he's been throwing like crazy, like he could be the number one quarterback in the NFL right now if it weren't for the poor protection rate he's been getting, combined with the high pressure rate of the defenses he's been playing, So, I got to give Kirk Cousins a little bit of slack, but it's still Kirk Cousins. It's primetime Kirk. Like we talked about this last week. Justin Herbert kind of feels like he's becoming the new primetime Kirk, and they were playing each other, and they barely eked out a win. Keenan Allen right now. Keenan Allen is like Keenan Allen in fantasy points, Steve. What does your ranking show for Keenan Allen on the season? I know we were talking about seasonal fantasy football rankings.
Number two,
wide receiver in the NFL.
He's exactly 2 points behind Tyreek.
Who was drafting Keenan Allen in the first or second round?
Andy, you know me. I might be the most pro Keenan Allen guy in the room here.
How many people passed up on Keenan Allen for Mike Williams? How many people drafted Quentin Johnson over Keenan Allen? I doubt many did that.
Not over him, but a lot of people were passing on him to get Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson later. And as of now, that's not looking like the move.
Well, so as long as Keenan Allen stays healthy, he's a great route runner. I think he's going to be fantastic. I see SS in the house saying effortless 70, and Chad, the legend. He is a Vikings fan, but not a Broncos fan. And yesterday, I believe he said he would happily take Justin Fields if they were to be offered him. Degenerates coming. All right, this is not the Republican debate, everybody. Unleaded Taylor Swift and Kelsey. He's loving that the new couple, man. The new couple on the block. Yes, that is a power couple right there.
You know what's interesting is, let's say in a hypothetical world where he's in a contract year and Cousins did get traded. the craziest part of all of it is he could literally re-sign with the Vikings in the offseason. He would be a rental effectively.
He could be a rental, man. Yeah. Does this really help out his card values, though? It seems like a lateral shift. Does maybe just a fresh team, maybe just a tiny bump, it allows you to sell and like get out and break even. I think that's what it does.
I think the only problem with Cousins' value right now is not that he's not doing well. In fact, he's probably the only good thing other than, Jefferson and Hawkinson. I mean, the offense is obviously doing well, but he's keeping them in games. They would have no chance if they had even a slightly less good quarterback in there.
Well, as you mentioned, Steve, Kirk Cousins is your number one overall fantasy quarterback right now, followed by Tua, of course. He had that low week 2 where he didn't have to throw hardly at all. Followed by Justin Herbert at number 3, Mahomes 4, Jordan Love number 5. Pretty solid there, baby. Jalen Hurts 6, Lamar Jackson 7, coming off a strong number 2 finish this week. Josh Allen 8, staying pretty healthy there. Not really paying off his ADP, I don't think, but he's fairly close. Russell Wilson, and then Jared Goff, definitely paying off ADP. And then honorable mention of CJ Stroud, man. Talk about smashing his production expectation. CJ Stroud looking like the best rookie quarterback on the field right now.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people made the stink face when we picked Houston to win recently, but let's be real. The defense is showing up. The offense is showing up. They're not quite elite yet, but when you have people betting against them that frequently, the odds are going to be in your favor typically.
The problem that I have with buying CJ Stroud market is, Steve, is the lack of like good rookie cards, and then you have the whole Fanatics exclusive deal going with CJ Stroud. And like if I just click on rookie, these are the only cards that they consider as rookie on COMC, like true official rookie. They're not including like the Bowman University cards, which may be the primary like base set to target for him. Either that or I spend up. And I did see a Premier Hollow sell for $100, and I felt like I would spend $100 on, because I've seen the Anthony Richard version of that card go for $250 before, right before the season started. And some of these mosaics that have just come out, I think are going to be pretty popular as well. Doesn't Mosaic typically have a pretty good PSA 10 hit rate too, Steve?
Certain variations. I know that there's some of the parallels that don't, but overall, yeah, it's pretty good.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Steve, because I was gonna bring up. I'm ready to look at this Steelers Texans matchup this weekend.
I'll run through it real quick. You went down your scoring list there, but I think what I wanted to just talk about is, we did a lot of best ball drafting in the offseason, and a lot of people will reach for an elite QB at the beginning, and that kind of puts you at a disadvantage for skill position guys later. But let's just show you a couple things here. Top 10 Yahoo scoring quarterbacks: Cousins, Herbert, Tua, Mahomes 4, Love, who you could have got really late, Russell Wilson at 6, who you could have got really late, Goff at 7, Josh Allen's all the way down at 8, just barely outscoring Mac Jones, CJ Stroud at 10, ahead of Jalen Hurts, Lamar all the way down at 13. So, man, when you look at it, it is not necessarily, now this is only 3 weeks, but it takes maybe just a small shift in the wind to move some of these guys, into upward positions where they could have a really good or a really bad year.
Yeah, you got a great point, man. There's still a lot of question marks, and I think we're seeing with only 2 teams now, only 2 teams 3-0. We're actually, I think it's forcing a lot of people in the hobby to not get so hung up on the early MVP race. I do think that the hobby now for football cards is a lot more closely correlated to individual performance of these players. And as it evolves, as it becomes smarter, there's more information, and just people become savvier in general. So that's a really good point, Steve. What do you have for wide receivers?
Yeah, let's look at that next here. So I'm sure there's going to be some major surprises on here. I know we talked about Puka, who's on this list still. Let's run that down real quick. Tyreek 1, Keenan Allen 2, Jefferson 3. I mean, if you notice a pattern here, those guys were all first rounders. Devontae 4, Mike Evans up at 5. And then you've got Debo 6, Puka 7, Tank Dell at 8. And then Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, bro. Adam Thielen at 10.
Wow, that's very close to PFF, except they have Stephon Diggs at 8, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 9, and Tank Dell at 10. Otherwise, the first 7 were still the same that you guys can see on your screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah, man. So I noticed, like, there's a few guys, obviously. Keenan Allen, you were getting – he's way exceeding his ADP. Devontae Adams, how many times were you able to draft Devontae Adams, like, not too far before the season started, in the second round? There was tons that we streamed. We were getting Devontae Adams in the second round, and it's just such a screaming value there. And I got to imagine that his cards have got to be insanely expensive. Like, where are Devontae Adams cards compared to Travis Kelce? I mean, Devontae Adams just needs to get himself a superstar girlfriend, and he's there. You know what I'm saying? And a podcast. Don't forget the podcast. I need Devontae Adams to start a podcast with maybe Derek Carr, his old college buddy. No, it's got to be somebody I think a little bit more entertaining there. Even though Derek Carr does seem like a very wholesome, good guy, like off the field.
For a second, I thought you were going to say Derek Richard. I'm not going to lie.
That would be great. Yes, please. Yes, this would be great. I would love to hear them argue. And the whole show is going to be about wide receivers.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. This is going to be great.
I did want to touch on one thing real quick, because you know what's interesting to me is how selective people are when they criticize a player's up or down week. We talked a lot about Puka last week, and everyone's like, see, he's not that good. 7 targets for 72 yards. Maybe that doesn't scream insane, but for a fantasy performance, considering if you watched that game, what happened to the O-line, where Stafford basically couldn't get rid of the ball, it's actually not that bad. And then you add into the fact that he actually fell down at the half-yard line on one of those catches and tried to extend and didn't get the touchdown. So that stat line could look a lot different, and he could actually be a few spots higher, maybe even in the top 3 if that had come out differently. So I think that guy's not going anywhere, personally.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I want to see. You're talking about Puka, right?
Yeah.
I want to see a little bit more, especially with. I saw the injury report on Cooper Kupp's hamstring. I think that if you look at the Rams schedule, they got a bye week coming up, if I remember correctly, maybe week 5, and I think or they're expecting him to return around week 5. His current injury timeline. I do want to go through the latest injury reports a little bit tonight, because there's a few major ones. One of them is Devontae Adams, quarterback, and then I also want to talk about some guys like Cooper Kupp. You got Christian Watson. Like, tomorrow night, it's a big matchup with the Lions and the Packers, man. I know you're interested in that one. That's going to be a big game.
Yeah. And before I get deep into that, a guy we talked about last week that's relevant to the Puka conversation, Tutu Atwell, is actually, we didn't forget about you, Tutu. You're number 11 on the list. And he actually had another touchdown this week, too. Another healthy 9 targets. So, man, that, for people that took Stafford and some deep receivers like those guys this year, those guys all could have been had in the last round. The last few weeks of best ball, you could have got Puka in probably like the 15th, 16th, where people were starting to draft him. But, man, imagine if you had hit all the right running backs and QBs, and then you had those guys just as, elite picks. Maybe you got Devontae and him, and you got who else is on this list that you could have had? Mike Evans, you could have had. You could have had Tank Dell. You could have had every guy on this list just about. Just goes to show you it's not just the guys you draft at the top that necessarily cement you wins every week. But, yes, going back to tomorrow's game, I think one of the biggest things that's hurting the Lions right now is injuries. And that's an injury to the running game and to one of their receivers. And I think that there's a chance Montgomery's back this week. Not official yet, but they definitely look like they missed him last week.
Yes, there is a chance, man. There is a chance. It did look like they missed him. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't look right taking that full bell cow role. I think they're way more dynamic. Although you still got, great weapons in Laporta and St. Brown, man. So those guys, and you could see like Jared Goff is definitely going to be relevant all year. This team is going to be very competitive. They're going to be aggressive on offense, pretty creative offensive play calling there. So yeah, man, I think this game tomorrow night could be very interesting, especially if you get Montgomery back. And then you also get Aaron Jones back on the other side, which is a questionable right now. He's been logging limited practices, and Christian Watson actually practiced in limited fashion as well. So it looks like both these guys could be potentially coming back. They just wanted to be careful with them because they're both hamstrings.
Yeah,
and
you gotta
DeMonty's
wonder how much better he can play with his full arsenal. I mean, yeah, one of the weeks was against the Bears, so according to some logic, some would say that was a freebie. But he's looked good and above average, at least for sure, every week so far. So I'm intrigued. I'm not excited because my team's sucking, but I am excited to see how good he does. And maybe they do actually become the team in the division. Right now, it's not looking like the Vikings. They can't stop anyone to save their lives, but it may end up coming down to Detroit and Green Bay. That's what it looks like right now, and that's the matchup tomorrow, Andy.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. So ultimately, what we got to do if we want to put in a pick'em slip on it is we got to kind of paint a narrative in our heads of how the game's going to unfold, and who's gonna go over, who's gonna go under. That's kind of what you're doing with the pick'ems, and that's how we had success this past week. And I'm glad that it was on full display, man, because we've been talking about this for a while to actually get a good week. I mean, that week I made this week I made $425, so that's gonna pay for the rest of the season if I lose every single week with the way that I use my bankroll. So I was only, I could look back and say, man, I should have. And I told my wife, I was like, dang, I should have put my entire balance on that pick'em slip, man. We'd have like $5,000 in the account right now,
You'd be set up for best ball for next year.
Yeah. But you can't, that's not responsible. That's not responsible because you're not going to hit those every week. Don't go into it like that. Just go into it with a very consistent mindset that you're going to make the plus EV. You're going to make the moves that on paper have a higher than 50% chance of returning profit more often than not. And you're just going to do that every week. And then eventually you're going to hit big. And that's, I kind of feel that I feel that same way about, everything that I do, whether it's, seasonal is a little bit different, but when you go into buying cards, when you're going to play DFS, when you're playing a variety of different games.
Andy, I was thinking about the other night. I was looking at some of the top scorers from fantasy this week, like Keenan Allen and some of these other guys, and Devontae Adams, for example. I'm pretty sure that one of the last drafts we did before they shut it down was we had an all like elderly-ish receiving core. I'm pretty sure we had like all those guys. So I don't know if that was a weekly sheet or if that was a Best Ball Mania sheet, but I'd be curious to see, how that one's doing.
I think we're doing pretty good right now in a lot of Best Ball. You could have come in here and named these. I had a couple guys reach out to me. Woodband, shout out to Woodband. He reached out to me, let me know. Right now I am winning 288, but I think overall I've got 49 entries. So
one thing of note too is that's just that doesn't count for like any advancement winnings that you would get in the next rounds. It just counts for whatever's on the table now.
Yeah, this is where's my weekly winners? Here we go, the weekly winners. Well, I won $100 week 2 on the weekly winners,
Oh,
so
nice.
that was nice. And yeah, but right now, ultimately focused on these pick'ems, baby. So we're gonna get into some more though. Did you have your top 10 ranks of running backs? I've been looking up. I've been looking up Mosaic 2023 Mosaic Bijan, trying to find a comparable because. Check out the CJ Stroud Silver Mosaic, just closed for $91 in auction. The Anthony Richardson one sold for almost 70. And the Bijan one, I'm actually kind of struggling to find one. Oh, here's one for $40. Brand new listing or best offer.
I think this list is going to surprise a lot of people. But you ready for the running back top 10? Nobody would have predicted the number 1 running back in fantasy through 3 weeks is Raheem Mostert by 13 points over Christian McCaffrey. So Raheem Mostert, Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker III, Devon Achane at 4, who's had like 19 attempts. Tony Pollard 5, Kyron Williams 6, Brian Robinson 7, James Conner 8, a guy that was a big value in best ball. Ford 9, Bijan Robinson 10.
Wow, man. Isn't that wild that really Ford has only played 2 games. Devon Achane has really only played 1 game, and they're already popping in the top 10. That's how little bell cows there are that are actually converting. So like Pollard's paying off his ADP big time. Bijan's like delivering, so. He's not really those people drafting him at the end of the first round. I guess they got it the first 2 weeks and it's kind of balancing out. But Ford's turned out to be a massive value. Connor, value. Brian Robinson, value. Kyron Williams, value. Devon Achane, now value. Kenneth Walker, yeah, he's a value with these last 2 weeks. He's looking like a machine out there, man. He finally hit a couple of those break it to the outside breakaway runs this past week. Christian McCaffrey, yep, he's turning to be that guy. And Mostert, massive value, man.
Here's an interesting stat. So looking at some of the guys below the top 10, a lot of these guys could have been had for the cheap. Swift was kind of in the middle, but Zach Moss was like a very end of the draft kind of guy. We saw Algier going kind of late. He's ahead of Barkley, obviously, because of injuries, but he's ahead of Ramondre Stevenson. He's ahead of Rashad White. He's ahead of Miles Sanders. He's ahead of Alexander Madison. So a lot of surprises so far. Again, not trying to get anyone to panic sell. Obviously, if you're 0-3 or 1-2, time to take a closer look. Maybe make some trades, but it's a long season. I know one season I started 0-6, Andy, and made the playoffs. Now, that is a long shot to do, but it's just like, look at the Lions last year. They looked awful. What were they, 1-5 or something like that? And then they came back and just ran the table just about.
Yeah, so it's our job to figure out now, recalibrate. Through 3 weeks, we got to recalibrate and figure out who's going to be that breakout in the second half of the season.
I know a lot of people were freaking out because of the Kareem Hunt signing, but as we saw, that's a big nothing burger. And I really don't think he ends up digging into the workload at all.
Tight end, Steve. It's your man, T-Hawk.
Man, so far we're looking dead nuts with the T-Hawk at the top. Number
T-Hawk
2
at the top.
Sam Laporta, a rookie tight end. And he's just getting it going, if you ask me, honestly. Hunter Henry at 3, Kelsey at 4, he's missed a week, but, you could argue that he'd be probably 1 or 2, maybe 3, if not for that. Donald Parham Jr. Not a lot of involvement. It's just the 3 touchdowns. He's only got 6 receptions. So I think that's an anomaly. So don't read into that.
You don't want to chase that. That.
Usage is what you're looking for. Evan Engram, Freiermuth, Kittle, Andrews, Waller. I mean, Waller is stinking the place up, man. You could get a guy like Higbee, Jake Ferguson, Hayden Hurst, Musgrave. They'll have just 1 less point or less than 1 point than Waller. And I remember people thought that this was the second coming, and I said, don't don't buy into it. And unfortunately, in best ball, he moved up to about the 4th round by late in the season when people were drafting, and I think they're regretting it now.
Man, so BCJ, welcome to the stream, sir. He said, I love to stick up for running backs as well, but look what's going on with Derrick Henry. You can see why even the best are expendable. I mean, we're sticking up for the later round running backs. I think we're sticking up for going 0 RB in fantasy, but also in running backs and cards, we're handcuffing like crazy, so to make sure we hit, and when we hit big. And then we're still left with that veteran running back like Derrick Henry. Steve, I look at him in cards as a guy that could potentially dip more, and then maybe I'll buy. There's a lot of scarcity around 2016, but if he gets traded to a contender, then all of a sudden he spikes on that news. I don't even wait to watch him play with the new team, because I do see Derrick Henry over the age apex, over the carry apex. He's clearly been on the decline. I don't know if it's just you, Steve, me, but he does look a little sluggish out there, regardless of the offensive line performance.
Honestly, I'll tell you what, man. If he ended up on a team that had a strong line like Cleveland or the Lions, or a team that had a really good run blocking line, I think he would just go wild, man. I really do. I mean, I was saying it after week 1. I watched a lot of that Titans game, and there wasn't a play where less than a second into the ball being snapped, there wasn't a defender in the backfield already. I mean, it's no wonder that the passing game can't get going, and the running game definitely can't get going if they're getting that same kind of penetration. So, man, pretty brutal, and we can only hope that, if you're holding on to some Henry, that line kind of figures it out. CH said, bring back Frank Gore. Probably one of my favorite running backs of all time, man. I got to agree.
Yeah, there's Raheem Mostert is like he's like the new age Frank Gore, but Raheem Mostert's got juice. That's the thing. If you had that kind of speed coming into the NFL, you're more likely to play longer, because even when you're 30, you slow down. But yeah, now you slowed down from a 4.3 to a 4.7, instead of if you came in as a 4.7, now you slow down to like a 5.2 kind of thing.
That's true. Someone said James says Jacobs is done. Nah. I mean, this guy literally sat the whole offseason out and wasn't practicing or anything. So if somebody's going to give him away, that'd be a great opportunity.
So, I mean, yeah, Derrick Henry has really fell short of expectations. And according to the hype index, now this doesn't sound right, but at the same time, his cards are very rare. The cheapest rookie ticket auto on the market right now for Derrick Henry is like $1,300. But that doesn't sound right. It's got to be an anomaly, like maybe it's a PSA 10 rookie ticket auto, and maybe that's the only one on the market. I'd have to go look, but he has had 23 rookie cards added to the PSA database in the past week, and 7 buy it nows, as well as with 19 auctions. So seeing over double the amount of auctions as buy it now. So that tells me I could probably find a better deal in auction if you were going to stick up for him. Yeah, it's just that market from 2016 is so rare, and the guys that bought Derrick Henry at their peak also bought him at the sports card peak overall, like the entire sports card market. Like when you bring in all the vintage cards and all the cards that were already popular whenever the big boom happened in 2020 and the beginning of 2021. That's when people bought into Derrick Henry a lot. You know what I'm saying, Steve? So there's still a lot of holding and not wanting to take much of a loss. They'd rather have it stashed maybe in their collection for a long time, So that's why it's tough.
About Henry is, when you're the guy in the sport, when the hobby kind of comes to life like it did in the past few years, I think there's always going to be a place for his cards, even when he's done playing. And if the hobby stays as strong as it does, going forward, then there'll be a lot more guys like that. But that being said, I don't think that there's obviously going to be some fluctuations, and if he stops playing, there will be a downward trend because people like active guys. But as far as him being relevant in the trading card hobby, I mean, he's going to be remembered as one of the best backs of quite a long time, I think.
Could be, man. It could be. I'd love to see him get one more year. So a new team would be the one spark. That would light his cards back up. It would be like the Christian McCaffrey effect. A lot of people were down and out on him. A lot of people spent a lot of money on him because he was in Derrick Henry's spot and the boom in 2020, 2021. And then Christian McCaffrey got hurt. And it was one injury after another there for like a year and a half. And then we were coming into 2022, and it was like the people were down on him, kind of like this, where it was like, he started off okay, but there's a lot of offensive line struggles, offensive scheme struggles, and he wasn't getting going. And then the trade happens to the 49ers, and his card spiked like you would not believe.
Yeah, I don't know what Derrick Henry's contract looks like, but could you imagine if he takes a cheap deal and would play in the Niners next year or something like that? I mean, the possibility.
I think McCaffrey'd have to get hurt.
I mean, even if he took, Elijah Mitchell's, timeshare role, the effectiveness, and then if one got hurt, they'd have two elite running backs. I did want to touch on something I kept seeing in the chat, and that was the Cam Akers discussion. So I think on the surface, he's not, don't have too high expectations yet, but they are going to give him a test run almost for sure due to the Madison fumbling. Now, if Madison continues to hold on to the ball and stop fumbling, I think that he has a firm grip on the job, but they didn't bring Akers over just to keep the spot warm. Chad says that, but I think that they're trying to kind of light a spark in that running game that pretty much doesn't exist.
Yeah. Alexander Madison has been a total flop so far this year. I know it's pretty serious right now. It's really heated because the expectations were so high for him this year. And he was like, I used to be an Alexander Madison fan. I used to like Alexander Madison. I used to be like, I bought his cards excited for when he could get that backfield, but only ever bought like a rookie ticket auto and then like one other Prism auto. And they were so cheap, I remember you could get them. And like going last year, this time last year, October last year, you get the like Prism autos for like $5-10, and so they shot up to a respectable $30-40, and that was what they came into the season at. And now they're on the way back down big time between the Vikings record and his lack of efficiency. And now they bring in Cam Akers. And so it's another slap in the face to his card values. And it's like kind of a slap in the face to Ty Chandler too. Now they add additional depth. The role this past week though, it was such a quick turnaround time. He joined the roster like Thursday before the matchup. So did he get any snaps at all this past week?
No, he was inactive, and I didn't think on like 3 days' notice he was going to play. That most players wouldn't. So, but I think he's probably dressed this week. He might only get a few touches, but I think we'll see what happens with that. But obviously, if you have Akers cards, this is a great time to list or hold. And what else? There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, James said poor Madison and Gibbs. There's a big thing we talk about, and that's the correlation between cards and fantasy. Madison and Gibbs, to me, are an example of better for cards than fantasy, in my opinion. And the reason for that is I didn't draft a lot of Gibbs, and I didn't draft a lot of Madison, and I could pull up my best ball ownership rate to prove that. But those were great guys to grab because the hype train was on overload. Everyone assumed Gibbs was starting. Everyone assumed Madison was going to start and run away with the job. But that's not something I felt in my gut, and I didn't go that route. So that is one of the things that is different, because when you draft a guy in fantasy, you're effectively hanging on to him most of the year unless you can trade him. Whereas with cards, you could get in, get it cheap, sell it when it's at a most desirable point, and then move on. But with fantasy, a lot of the times you're committing to the guy for the whole year, or if it's a dynasty or keeper league, well beyond that.
did you draft any Zach Moss heading into the season?
Barely, man. Honestly, at the very last couple weeks, I might have had him only in a few. Honestly, like 2 or 3, because it was still kind of uncertain what was going on with Jonathan Taylor. So I actually got what's the dude that got hurt and he's on the IR right now? The Evan Hull.
Evan Hull, yeah,
looked really good before getting hurt.
Yeah, I definitely drafted some Evan Hull. Well, Zach Moss is an interesting one to me because we also have other big injury news. Anthony Richardson is making his comeback this week. Now, Gardner Minshew didn't play great. It was not great by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just enough. That game turned into be a slugfest, and ultimately, the Colts got pretty lucky and came away with that win. So, Anthony Richardson's coming back this week, but with, like you said, Evan Hull down, Zach Moss has turned into a bell cow here, dude. And he does have a 95 overall speed score. I mean, he's more of like a Josh Jacobs type of running back if I were to compare him to a build, Steve. What do you think? His red zone snap percentage has been 100% since he's started for the Colts this year. And his yards per carry has been 4.38 and 7 yards per reception, which is very solid. So he's more or less taking a bell cow role right now with the Colts.
He's on the field,
pretty
he's
interesting.
on the field almost every snap. And I will say this: if you've watched him for his whole career so far since 2020, he looks way better. And I don't know if that's just a better scheme for him with the Colts than he had with the Bills. It's hard to say, but he definitely looks like a completely different player and a bit of an electric player. Now, I think everyone is kind of thinking Jonathan Taylor just comes back and he's fine and that's it. But don't forget, there's still a possibility of him getting traded, and that would make Moss, the de facto RB1. And then when Hull comes back after, 4 to 6 weeks, either the RB2 or in a timeshare with them. So should be interesting.
So this is my lock of the week, Steve. The Colts are playing at home against the Rams. All right. The Rams rank 31st in the NFL right now in yards allowed per carry, 30th in defensive DVOA. That's one of the worst run defenses in the league. Their passing defense ranks 22nd overall, 12th in yards allowed per pass. So you combine the fact that Anthony Richardson's coming off a concussion, combine the fact that Matt Stafford has been airing it out. The Rams passing offense has been 4th in DVOA and 5th in yards per pass. The Colts are going to want to keep this ball on the ground. They're going to be motivated to keep this ball on the ground with Zach Moss. That could lead to some nice red zone opportunity, plenty of carries, plenty of opportunities for him to flash here this week. And now the Colts are 2-1. Say they win this game, you get a big game from Zach Moss, top 5 finish, and he smashes, gets a few touchdowns, gets a big game. We know it's not going to be to the extent of a Devon A-Chain just because Zach Moss doesn't quite have that speed. But I can buy some good Zach Moss cards on COMC right now for cheap, and that could be my flip.
That's the thing is, he's only been kind of back on the scene for a couple of games here. So there's not a full, swing of momentum going the other way just yet. Because unlike a guy that just came out, he's got 3 years of, to some degree, neutral or negative saturation in the market where people are like, at some point they probably bought in high on him, sold and lost money on him, or held and saw his values go down, down, down. And now there's obviously $40. There's some people that are looking at him as he's a guy you can buy and sell now, which is absolutely true. So, look for a couple deals on him. Maybe even check some other sites other than eBay, like MySlabs, like Mercari, for some deals on him. And you probably have a couple weeks to make a move. I don't think the Taylor thing, I could be wrong, but it didn't seem too optimistic that he'd be back anytime soon.
Nah, man, they're shysting him, man. His agent did him dirty. They're gonna figure out a way where he doesn't hardly play at all this year, if any. Maybe he gets one game in or something just to meet some kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I like this move right now. I found an Optic rookie ticket auto COMC. They've got 7 of them. The best transaction looking at their data was on July 29th at $12.38. If you guys aren't familiar, these listings show up on COMC's eBay store for a little bit more, like 10% more than what you can buy them logged in on the website. So what I'm going to do, this will give you guys a little bit of a head start. I think they're a great value at 924. They consider the SRP 1750 based on what they're pulling. I think they must be pulling sales data from eBay because that sounds about right. I'm going to make an offer on these, Steve. I'm going to go 750 and see if it'll 907. Okay, so I'm going to make the minimum offer. But you guys could get it for an extra 15 cents. You guys can snipe me. I give you the opportunity to snipe me.
What was the low price on there?
$9.24. And so then the next one goes up to, oh, I got auto accepted. Wait, is that mine? Or no, did I buy one before a couple weeks ago? I think I must have, Steve, now that I'm thinking about this.
There you go.
Well, we're gonna set the new market standard. Just an Optic rookie ticket auto, man. This is, if you had this on eBay and Zach Moss continues to play like this, you should have no problem selling this for double when you buy it at 10. You know?
Here's the great thing about prospecting is, Andy, if you had to guess, would you not agree that in the off season or even a couple weeks ago, you probably could have got this for like $5?
Potentially, yeah, in an auction. Yeah. I just found some teals, brother. I found some teals out of 99. Look at this one. 1445.
That's nice.
Oh, got to reprocess it as elite and turn around and quick flip on it.
15 is pretty good because, I mean, that's basically what the base is going for.
I wonder if you can make an offer on this guy's thing at all. Like, can I make an offer at 13?
I was going to say sometimes when they're, I was going to say a lot of times when they're already discounted, they won't make a deal.
Look good. I recognize the name too. Gaby Cardstacks, subscriber of the Quest. Gaby Cardstacks is the owner. That's funny.
That's awesome.
I know he moves a lot of volume. Guy runs a tight ship. He moves a lot of football card volume. So yeah, no, that is super interesting, man. So I think there's definitely some deals, and I think that's the kind of mark you got to look for on here, unless you're going to actually populate their database with cards you got here in your possession, or from eBay. Have them shipped there. They'll upload them into their site. You pay their little upload fee, depending on how quickly you want them uploaded. And that's all dependent on your budget and your time frame of how long you want to be in that card. Some guys you want to get up there quick, like Zach Moss. I want to have this quick ability with little legwork. I didn't really have to do anything, Yeah,
no, that on the quick flips, like the running back stuff like that, COMC is a great way to do that. And I can say this, I don't actually utilize COMC as much as maybe I should, but I've had really good luck with just getting cards that have appeal of pretty popular guys at like rock bottom prices. I mean, if I showed you like my ROI on some of the cards I've sold on there that I've just found on like eBay COMC auctions for like absurdly cheap prices for like $3 to $5. And then, I know you don't follow baseball, but I had a Cubs rookie card of Chris Bryant I got for $30, sold for $95 the other day. So it's like there's always deals to be had, and not having to facilitate the shipping and processing of the sale it's a pretty big advantage, especially if you're time crunched like most of us are.
All right, alert! Play the alert sound effect. Dun, 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 dun,
oh, there it is.
Whoa, my computer's
sent you a little private chat. Little, I guess you could say color match, kind of. Colts Kinda.
12 out of 99. The blue prism optic. Look at that. Look at that phone photography there, making that thing look sharp. $21. Buy it now with $4.15. No make offer button. So I can actually do. I think that is the teal. No, that's the blue. So the
No,
teal is
the teal
not
is
quite.
what, 199? Oh, no, the
Yeah,
teal's 90.
no, this teal says 99. So this might actually be the
Okay.
same card that you just sent me.
Mm,
It's out of 99, Steve.
I thought I got mixed up because I thought the Reds were out of 199. And let's see, is there a back photo on that one? On the blue one, the eBay one.
Let's see. Turnover. 74 out of 99. Let's see. I might be buying that Bijan at 44 too. Stay tuned for that. That did not end at 56. That ended at 91. All right, I'm getting to it, Steve. I got to find it. Where'd it go?
Did you close it?
Oh, that's right. I had it in a different window. There it is. Okay, found the Zach Moss. Yes, 12 out of 99.
Oh, okay. All
It's
right.
the same card. It's the same card. This is a teal.
So the camera effect kind of
Makes it look blue.
Yeah, interesting.
I would have guessed blue on this too. I would not have guessed teal. Chat.
No, I honestly
anybody
thought
in the chat?
genuinely a different card, but that's a good catch.
So that's an interesting piece of news. I would talk about Anthony Richardson. Steve, I'm still blown away with how expensive these 2023 Mosaic cards are, because when I go back, I'm gonna pull up a 2020 Joe freaking Burrow Mosaic. Actually, should I do Tua or Joe Burrow? Tua, right? What should I do? I want to pull up 2020 Mosaic Prism. Compare the same exact card from 2020 here. Oh, somebody put Joe Burrow into his description. Great. Good for you. So there's his standard silver 4150. That was a raw transaction, sold, confirmed. Look, there it is. There's the silver prism for Joe Burrow, the same card that right now for Anthony Richardson is going for 70, and for CJ Stroud is going for 91 in auction tonight. The Joe Burrow sold yesterday for 33 with free shipping. Free shipping, Steve. Gotta love it.
I don't have the auction. Maybe you could look in the past week for the highest Brock Purdy card sale. I saw this Brock Purdy. I thought I bookmarked it, Andy, and it was like an auto out of, I don't know, 5 or something. And when I last saw it, I think it was like 5,500. I want to see if I don't know if it was Prism. I don't know if it was Prism.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I pulled that one up in my Monday's top 10 video, because Brock Purdy's sold transactions are absolutely bonkers right now. Like, look at those. Look, these same mosaics that we're talking about, these silvers for Brock Purdy. Well, there's a 9 of that same mosaic Prism, and that, I don't know, what would you guess at this 9? I can't imagine it was discounted for much more than 80.
Yeah, I don't know, 65 maybe.
65. Should I pull it up? Do you think you're going to be?
Why not? But when you're done with that, I got a couple just observations to share, man, because I'm blown away by some of the stuff I'm seeing here.
Yeah,
it's madness, man. This is why things like the hype score means something.
Let's see what we got for this. What does the chat say?
I was off by $1, 66.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, 66. So, I mean, that's not even, and that's pretty close. But it just goes to show you, Steve. What are your observations?
All right, I'm going to link you 3 cards in the private chat, one at a time, so you can see. And then I think you'll kind of get the hint of what I'm talking about when I send these over. So there's one. And I shared these in the Discord earlier in the week on purpose so people could see the kind of stuff you could buy. Now, these aren't necessarily in most people's budgets, right? I get that. Now, there is. Oops, I didn't mean to share that one. Wrong link. Hold on one second. That's the one I'm looking for. Some of these are definitely in people's budgets. Some of these are definitely not in people's budgets. So that was maybe one that's at the higher end, depending on what your budget looks like. But
I'm gonna make people guess how much it sold for before you.
I like that. I like that even better.
We're gonna put you. How many more are you sending me?
3 total. 3
total. Okay. Whew. This one does say 1/1 gold vinyl. Look at that.
So that is a rookie ticket gold. Obviously no auto. But for those of you that aren't aware, the rookie tickets, even without the autos, the serial numbered ones do fetch quite a high price. So
all right. And then last but not least here, we got this one. It's probably the most underwhelming one. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see. Let me get these all on the screen here. Here we go. These all on the screen. All right. If I had to rank them in order.
Where'd that vinyl come from? Did I send you the wrong one?
What you talking about? Sold.
I sent you a burrow.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Wait.
I sent you the same one twice. So
you sent me the same one twice.
Send you the burrow. Maybe I didn't link it right. Let me just resend it so you don't have to go digging for it. I resent it just now. So it's 3 total cards, and I see some people have some good guesses going in the chat so far, but this definitely shows a point. And I think that if you're buying for personal collection, obviously you still don't want to spend the top dollar, and if you're buying to card flip, you definitely don't want to spend the top dollar as well. You obviously want to get a deal so that you have more wiggle room when you go to resell it. So left side, we've got a rookie ticket optic gold out of 10. And on the right, we have a 1/1 Justin Herbert rookie auto from Absolute. And in the center, we have a 1/1 black prism from 2020 Select and a PSA 10 slab.
All right. So we got to rank these. Which one sold for the most to which one sold for the least? I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. I think in that order is how I would like them. Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this one though because it is gold and it's the rookie ticket. So I'm kind of torn. It's 9.5 too, but this is 1/1, so I got to go with the 1/1 and a PSA slab with an auto. So that's how I'm going, Steve. How did I do?
I think you nailed it, honestly. Both Herberts realistically before the season or even sometime last season were quite a bit more. But I think you're going to be astonished when you see what that went for. Under $1,000. I know to some people that seems like it's a lot, but not really. This card would probably have been several grand a year or two ago when he's still doing great, but when he was perceived as the top QB, the top young QB in the league, which he's starting to come back into form of. So yeah, that I thought was an insane steal at that price.
The gold optic rookie ticket under $1,000 at $800.
That is a 1/1. Now the reason I'm sharing these is if you look at what some of these Anthony Richardsons have been going for, and some of these Brock Purdy's are going for it, and even other young rookie QBs that really haven't done much of anything. It's insane. I mean, you can buy a 1/1 Justin Herbert for $3,800, but I saw Anthony Richardson the other day go like out of 10, not even auto, go for like $7,500. You know what I'm saying? It's just wild, man. It's wild. Like, you got to really like Anthony Richardson to make a move like that.
And boom. The big dog here, Joe Shiesty, black laser, man. I think that's cool. That's cool design right there.
Imagine what a better photo could do for that card too. Holy cow, man.
Yeah. Premier Select, PSA 10 though, and 101. Whew, buddy, nice car.
But yeah, I mean, that
Nice
just goes
car.
to show. I mean, obviously, 2 of the 3 are probably out of most investors or collectors' price range, but there are people spending thousands. And if you're one of those people, like there's way better options than buying into a guy that just came out. We saw the mistakes with Trey Lance, Mac Jones when he came out. Don't buy into the sensationalism that comes with the new product and the new player. There's better deals to be had.
Yeah, so you just can't really touch. Whoops, I thought that on Google. So you just can't really, if you have, and if you want to take this optimally, you can't really touch 2023 Mosaic singles yet. Got to give it a couple weeks, right? Product's just too new. Like it doesn't matter if I want, Tank
On the flip
Bigsby
side,
right now.
if you pull it from a pack, sell it right away.
Zach Charbonnet. Like I'd love to buy some Mosaic Zach Charbonnet as a sleeper. I love him as a sleeper. I don't even think that I could buy his card for a decent price right now compared to
Sure.
what I could get it for maybe in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think if you go back and, we kind of feel like we have to have this talk every year, but if you go back and look at every year, there's typically a couple of first-round quarterbacks, and how many of them really escape the year 1 gauntlet, let alone the year 2, the year 3, and become a stay in the league, if you will. And, we're seeing some of that unfortunate repercussions of the 2021 QB class right now, where everyone's kind of looking like trash. Even Trevor Lawrence is not looking that hot right now. That whole rookie class, as far as the quarterbacks go, is looking kind of questionable right now.
Yeah, very, very questionable. I mean, I don't know if you got this, but I saw a Trey Lance rookie ticket auto sell for $30 the other night. I'm sure Zach Wilson's not too far behind him.
What were they, like 1,200 before? Something like that?
Yeah, I think the ceiling was somewhere around $1,000.
It's nuts, man.
So not really anything. Yeah, it's just the prices are crazy. I mean, it's stuff you're gonna see this stuff go for a lot less in the long run, which is why it makes it tough to buy in right away. You pay a premium to buy in when a brand new product is released. You got to give that a few weeks. Maybe this one wasn't bad, but I mean, even this, I think if his role doesn't change, right? Execution doesn't change, everything. You give this product more time to increase supply in the marketplace. It's just a common. It should be well known at this point, unless you're brand new, that it's just common that the prices will go down as supply increases over time, and it makes its way to the market.
Unless he takes over the starting job and just goes haywire. I mean, that's a $1-2 card in a few months. So if you're buying it at $6 because it just came out and you got some extra money to spend and you want to set it on a stand on your desk and look at it, cool. But now's not the time for new product to be buying singles of the prominent guys, because Andy, those rated rookies, the rookie day ones that you were talking about, there was a handful of guys that were buying all the QBs up and probably made some good money doing those. I bought a couple of the defensive guys for like $1-2 each, and those skyrocketed too because people realized how rare they were. So again, that's kind of like the pivot. We kind of teach the pivot here more than anything else, because no one. Oh, there you go.
I might have found a play, Steve. I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought, but I remembered that we definitely got to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo in concussion protocol. Most quarterbacks, I don't think we've seen a single player even outside of quarterbacks that go into concussion protocol and then play the immediate week after. They're making them sit that extra week now, which is probably good. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be out this week. You got Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell was a preseason boy wonder with the mustachio. Brian Hoyer has not looked good since he was way younger, going back to like Cleveland Browns days. Whenever he got a start because I think it was at that time it was Johnny Manziel that went out, or no, it must have been Baker maybe that went down. It was, I can't remember what year, but it was the Josh Gordon year with Brian Hoyer. And they went nuclear for a little while until Brian Hoyer got injured, and then he tried to make a comeback, and it was just never the same. And he's been downhill since, and he hasn't looked good on the last few teams that he played for, and the spot starts that he's got, he's looked terrible. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start Aiden O'Connell, or maybe Aiden O'Connell doesn't start the game, Brian Hoyer does, but Aiden comes in by the second quarter. Excuse me. Because you got the best wide receiver in the league in Devontae Adams. Why not put a guy back there that's going to sling it? And Jacoby Myers isn't bad either. You got options.
Yeah, I know that there's definitely a polarizing view on O'Connell so far, and I don't have anything bad to say about it, but I will just err on the side of caution because we saw a lot of other guys that did some stuff in the preseason and then did nothing in the regular season. It is worth noting that the quality of player they're playing against isn't typically starter level.
It's wild. I think we can clearly see here you've got a Canadian that doesn't know the value of Aiden O'Connell, because here we've got an $18.53 sold from Aiden of that same silver mosaic that's going for CJ Stroud for 91 and Anthony Richardson for 70. And I get this one's got $14.82 in shipping from Canada, which is wild, man. That's pretty steep. But $32 here total out the door for this card. There was another one though that sold just 2 days ago that was listed at 60 and sold best offer accepted. You don't think this one was discounted all the way to 32, do you?
No, but you know what? Go back up real quick. I think we both completely missed it. I just noticed it right now though. The first one you showed me. Look at the one right under it. It's not a pink. It's a purple out of 49 for $5.
Oh, buddy. I missed that too. I just assumed that was a non-numbered pink. That's a purple power, baby. That's a purple power, and it's numbered out of 49. My God. Please tell me one of you guys sniped that.
$100 plus card, man.
Tell me one of you guys sniped that. If this kid starts this week, somebody's about to like 20x on this card. Yeah.
That's some Saturday night money for next week if you sell that. So.
Yeah. Dude, that's is awesome. And I guess that's the volatility you can find, because a lot of these are going to be buy it now solds, because the auctions typically people do 7 days, and the market, this product, look, I've got a hobby box of it right here, baby. I got a hobby box of it right here that premium members of the Quest are in a break this Friday night. 8 of you are in this break. We're going to do an auction style draft. We're going to break the box open. I think my man Rhino from Rhinoverse is going to join, because I think he's got a box too. And so we're going to rip he's going to rip his box personal consumption after we do this one for the Patreon break. So that's exciting. And hopefully we get all these guys in there. Because, man, the volatility right now on some of these cards is pretty insane.
That just goes to show you right there that some of these cards are going to get posted up, and there may be somebody that's just not in tune with the market that sees a guy. They're like, I really wanted this guy instead, and just lists it up for a couple bucks just to get rid of it. And one man's trash became another man's treasure, just like that.
Just like that, baby. Just like that, it could flip on its head, just like Puka Nacua did, just like Jerome Ford did, just like Kadarius Toney did at some point in history. Just don't bet on that happening again. He's got a toe injury right now. He probably will play, but it turns out that it looks like in terms of targets per route run and premium targets, Rashee Rice is still the top receiver, consistent opportunity outside of Travis Kelce. And then it's Sky Moore. And then it's Kadarius Toney and Marcus Valdez-Scantling. or maybe Justin Watson too. I'd put them all there equal. You know, Patrick Mahomes can complete the ball to 10 different pass catchers in any given game.
Yeah, Watson did pretty well. He was used very scarcely last year, but they see enough in him that he's making some big plays for him. If there was an injury, he would definitely move up and probably do quite well. But again, there's just too many guys that are like similar in talent. No one really stands out from the group right now, except for Kelsey, obviously.
I'll tell you another good snipe tomorrow night for tomorrow night's game with the Lions and the Packers. I do want to get through the rest of like get our quick take on the we got to go through our pick'ems and look at the rest of these games, Steve. But tomorrow night, Jair Alexander is not going to be playing for Green Bay. Ooh. This is getting a little bit more interesting.
Ooh, that's Amon-Ra could be going to the moon and back.
Yes, and he's a 2021 rookie, and he's a sun god, and I might be able to find kind of like Zach Moss. Well, not like Zach Moss, but kind of like maybe Jalen Waddle. I compare him to a couple of these 2021 wide receivers. Jalen Waddle kind of jumps out to me there, but maybe I could find something on COMC. I'm trying to snipe and spend this money I got on COMC for Amon-Ra, rookie card, rookie auto, Amon-Ra. Steve, see anything you like? It's an auction in 9 days.
I was gonna say that definitely stood out, but oh wow.
What about this? What about this BGS authenticated?
I like that.
Dude, that's pretty sick. That's a event signed auto right there.
No, I like that a lot, actually.
I mean, it's cheaper than all this other stuff. I know the event signed stuff doesn't go for nearly as much as the manufacturer signed, even though it's like authenticated by extremely reputable company, and it's not.
Look at how much that Phoenix auto is. Jeez.
Wow, I'm one of those Phoenix fans, man.
So it seems like the prices are only going up as we go down. Let me see. Is that Legacy one? Is that a college uniform?
Let's see, Legacy.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. It is color match. It does have rookie card shield, but it is a college, and this is the market for his autos. I'm tempted to buy this event signed one. I wonder if you make it.
The white Donruss base is not terrible, but I think this is pretty interesting, honestly.
Yeah, because I mean, even if this doesn't work out on here, I get it home. A little bit of color match. How much negative impact do you think that clash is between green Prism and the Lions?
At least the blue ink is on there. Yeah, no, I know green isn't one of the more sought after variations, but it doesn't look like there's any comps because there's
no comps. It's NA.
That's literally the one only.
Huh.
Let me see.
Yeah, they're talking about just the green Prism in general. Yeah, super interesting. So I wonder if I uncheck autographed and I check serial numbered. Now all of a sudden we've got 81. So much bigger selection, much lower prices when they're just looking at serial numbered and non-autographed. But this is another kind of sweet spot where you can definitely capitalize on.
Serial numbered, man, his stuff does go for a lot. I don't remember if I shared it last week or not, but I picked up here I found a optic hollow signed, event signed, went in auction for 81 on 130 point.
All right.
So that gives you an idea. You could potentially list it for $100, I would think. I can't remember if I shared this or not, but get it out of the sleeve here. Got a nice blue scope. CSG 10.
Oh, wait. Hold on. You know the drill, Steve. We got to blow you up.
There you go.
What you got there?
CSG 10. I'm on Blue Scope. Grabbed it a couple weeks ago before the season started because I, have the feeling of transcendence for the Lions offense. So been hanging on to that. I know he's got some bigger weeks ahead of him, 20, 30 point type weeks. So been hanging on to it for that.
Are you going to list it for tomorrow night's game?
One of the advantages of a Thursday night game is if he does well, you have a much longer time to sell it before the following week. So I may, that's a good point. If Alexander's out, I may list it ahead of the game.
All right. So he is out. He's confirmed out. I'm looking at the news right here. He's confirmed out. And Christian Watson is looking to make his debut. So I'm feeling a shootout, man, tomorrow night. I'm feeling a shootout tomorrow night in Green Bay. The weather's nice right now in Green Bay. This is the best weather they're going to have there all year. So this is the time for this game to get out of control on the Thursday night in Green Bay. I think we see some points put up, especially if some of these weapons are back for both these teams. But even so, if not, hey, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to feast.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. James says Musgrave for 2 tutties. I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of cards out for him, but that is a guy that you should be looking at, and that is a guy that you should be owning in Dynasty or maybe even Keeper formats, more Dynasty than Keeper. But that guy's going to be a stud, man. He's already kind of coming into form already, but he hasn't had quite the early pounce that what's his face from the Lions did, but he won't take too long to follow, and he looks really good.
All right. So now that you've got a really good feel for tomorrow night's game, let me clue you in here on these pick'ems for tomorrow night on UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code Quest, everybody, get that 100% instant deposit bonus. Play along with us. Last week we made $425. Let's see if we can do it again, guys. Let's see if we can do it tomorrow night, maybe. I don't know. Let's see if we can put together 5 picks for tomorrow night's game.
Oh man,
and bring home the bacon. Jared Goff, 253 passing yards is the number. Jair's out. We've hit that 2 out of 3 weeks, Steve. We've hit it, and the 1 week we missed it was 243, very close, and that was the Atlanta Falcons that like to hog the clock and run the ball and rinse and repeat.
And to be fair, they've been one of the worst defenses in the league for years. But how many first-round draft picks can you get before your team actually starts getting better? And they don't get the recognition that they should because they got Bijan, and that's all people acknowledge them for. But that secondary is actually pretty good. It's not the best in the league, but it's pretty good.
Amon-Ra, last 2 weeks, 102 yards on the dot each week. And his over-under is 72.5. You could actually go 75.5 rushing plus receiving. We got 28.5 yards after the catch, 9 targets. You got so many options.
Some weird lines on him.
So many options, dude. So many options. I think
I don't know why anyone would take the one with the rushing when he's at 1 carry.
Pressure rate is pretty decent with Green Bay on the front line. I'm not seeing any injury reports here around their D line. So, I think that Amon-Ra could be in line for a lot of targets in this type of game script. We'll come back over here and see if, that's what I want to look at. Impact players out, Bakhtiari, but he's on the line. He's on the offensive line, and then Jair is out.
That says questionable.
Oh, he's out though. I'm looking at player news from today on Twitter. Back. Linebacker Devondre Campbell is also out for week 4. Boom. So I'm looking. This is no brainer. This is totally plus EV. We're just going to come in here and hit the higher on his receiving yards. And now we've got to bring it back with some guys on the other side. I'm not opposed with Sam Laporta picking one of these either. I mean, look at the target rate. Still with no Jameson Williams. Potentially no David Montgomery tomorrow night. We're still looking at 5 targets, give or take. I think this is look at how this has increased for Laporta over the past couple weeks. And now we get a touchdown and some more yardage. 42. I mean, it's right there, man. Right there. I think that's a really easy number to hit the over on.
All right.
Now we're going with some defensive players. Aiden Hutchinson, 2 solo tackles, three tackles plus assists. Look, that's right there. It is
pretty close. Damn, he had 2 points last week. Nice. I feel like, but we got to take for the slip to work. We got to take Green Bay, a couple Green Bay guys.
I agree. Yeah, we got to take Jordan Love. I think what we do now is we do our bring back with Jordan Love. He had 259 last week against New Orleans on 44 attempts. That was a comeback. At Atlanta, we know that's going to be the lowest passing game. And then at Chicago, that's going to be fairly low too, 227. So I think this number tomorrow night is pretty healthy. I think he's going to have somewhere in that 30 to 35 pass attempt range. A 229 number is not bad. We also saw him rush the ball for 39 yards this past week, like some pretty good yardage. Yeah, 39 in the touchdown on his legs. So that total number is putting you right at 300 total yards. You got 250 here.
What about the 16 and a half rushing yards?
Yeah, man.
That's the pass rush is legit, and that could force him to run more.
The question is, do you get Aaron Jones back? We don't know. That's still questionable. That's a true questionable designation on Aaron Jones right now and Christian Watson, because I do think that changes his game plan, and that could be a situation where he doesn't hit that.
The thing that's really saved him, if we're being honest, is the touchdowns. There's really not a lot. For week 1 against the Bears, that looked great on paper, but now looking back, how big of a feat was that? Then against Atlanta, only 151 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then New Orleans, which is actually probably the best defense they've played so far, 259, took 44 attempts to do it, but 1-1. So I think you got to kind of temper your expectations here, because this could be maybe they're probably on par with New Orleans defensively, and they have a really good pass rush. So I think it'd be an average of the first 2 weeks, more so than what he did last week.
Yeah. And ultimately with the hamstring issues that Jones and Christian Watson are dealing with, I think they're going to be more careful with these guys than rush them back out there. He's like Christian Watson's already sat out. I think he's going to make his debut tomorrow night, but it could be on a pitch count to see how he does, kind of, ease into things with the hamstring. They don't want him pulling the hamstring and making it worse right off the bat. Same thing with Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones is more of a veteran player, and he hasn't he's logged 3 straight limited practice after being sidelined completely last week. So it's like, man, we might adjust this line, but I think right now, if you put it in as the pass plus rush, Steve, I like that one the best, just because I'm really only having to pay for an extra 3.5 yards now, but I've opened it up to where I can get there through the air or on the ground.
That's fair.
And then we pick our guy. The chat wanted Musgrave, huh? He's put up. I mean, he's bit 36.5.
Literally, yeah, that's pretty much the average of his output so far there.
So let me see something real quick. I might use my SOS or not I might use this SOS metric here from PFF to look at the Lions, or I should say the Green Bay defense here against the Lions. And it's about equal between favorability for tight end, running back, and wide receiver. So the tight end is higher than the wide receiver. So yeah, let's go Musgrave. Let's do it. Let's go Musgrave. Boom. There's our 5 picks, Steve. Should we go bullish? We got $550 in the account now.
You playing with house money, Andy? You playing with house money?
5 correct picks pays 200. That's what I actually did last week. I made, but I'm gonna put in $10 bets. So let's do it. Confirm.
Jay says,
the projection has changed. Which one changed? Which one changed? They won't tell me. How do I know which one changed?
You'll have to go up and look. Goff said 253, which is what it was. 72.5. 42.5.
Jordan Love.
50.
250.
That's the same.
Musgrave 36.5.
That's still the same.
Submit. Huh. Let me reload the screen. Let me see.
I agree with what Jay's saying, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. He's saying that Jordan throwing for 300 plus every week. Actually, he hasn't thrown for 300 plus yet, and I agree. I don't think he's going to. A lot of those touchdowns are coming from just efficiency and not from volume more than anything else.
Oh, they pulled the Musgrave line. They pulled the Musgrave line.
What?
No. The Musgrave line got bet out. The Musgrave line is gone.
That's whack, dude.
Oh, man. Yeah. Hi, need any help? Yeah, let me type to the Underdog support. Yes. Bring the Musgrave line back.
What did Dubs do last week?
Yeah, but the thing is Christian Watson gonna start? I think his number is gonna be like this.
Yeah,
but without the touchdowns if Christian Watson starts.
Dubs with the under. Or you can go Jaden Reed over. He's actually, he's way better than Dubs is, honestly.
Yeah, I feel way more confident about I'm going to have to go with the Jaden Reed. What's it at? 37. Yeah, let's go with the Jaden Reed.
Hurry before you take it away.
Dear God. And can I get it in?
All right.
Man, but we missed the Musgrave. The Musgrave was money. Musgrave equals money.
Hey, remember last week that happened? We were doing the CJ Stroud line, and we got it in before they moved it up like 20, 25 yards. So, and he ended up throwing for close to 300, I think.
We've got the 2 best rookie tight ends playing against each other tomorrow night. I think in terms of maybe not athletic profile, right? But college profile, but guys that are going to be the highest producing tight ends. Like these guys are about to finish their rookie season as tight end ones above a lot of other tight ends in the league that were drafted way before them. Musgrave and Laporta are the guys.
Yeah, and I know that, during the preseason, we talked a bit about, rookie tight ends. A lot of people said rookie tight ends don't do a lot in their first year. Historically, that's true. But like we said, a lot of that comes from being buried behind a veteran or in a timeshare. If you're out there and you're a great route runner and you're getting all the work, it's naturally going to be, a lot more volume and a lot more efficiency.
See if there's really anything ending on.
Does he have a pen pals maybe? Because I know there's not a lot of pro uniform stuff yet.
No real auctions ending soon. This is year 1. Doesn't have any pro designations on there. Not feeling the love for the Musgrave was drafted in the second round, if I remember correctly, right? The third round at the latest.
Musgrave is currently the 14th tight end overall.
Yeah. Dude, he was drafted early second round. Why do we not have pro uniform cards out for him? What the heck is going on here? Is Musgrave in Mosaic? Okay. Apparently he's in Mosaic in a practice uniform. Come on, Panini.
Hey, at least it's a pro uniform.
Yep, I got pro uni. All right, that's his card then.
Oh man, white sparkle.
So all these things, like, dude, if tomorrow night doesn't go well, these are all going to turn into potential snipes. Now the product's brand new, so it's going to be hard. Like this orange, that's fire for Packers right there.
I don't think it'll be a detractor, but it will be an enhancement. If people were already in on the card, it's only going to, spike it up that much more.
Musgrave's interesting because he's not nearly as obvious as Laporta. Laporta has spiked up a lot more after this past week. Did I say leak? Past week than Musgrave.
Yeah, and you know what? As the end of the offseason came about, there was a lot of people talking about these two guys kind of creeping up on Kincaid, as far as like who should be drafted and all of that jazz. It's too early to say, but I think it's more because of, again, the timeshare situation where Dawson Knox is kind of absorbing some of Kincaid's future glory, if you will, where these other two guys don't have anyone in front of them.
So true. BCJ's cracking up as he got the shorts on. There's Ryan from Rhinoverse. I think I just pulled this card yesterday. Romeo Dobbs is red zone target right now. I don't know about that, BCJ. He may be, but no, I'd want to see what his catch rate, what the target quality is there. He's definitely not the best receiver on that team. So it's obviously going to be changing a lot depending on if Christian Watson's available tonight. I think Christian Watson makes his debut tomorrow night, Steve. You watch. This game's going to be interesting. I think we got a little bit of shootout on our hands. We got the two best rookie tight ends going against each other in Laporta and Musgrave.
I'm hoping for a shootout, Andy. I don't know about this year, but if you remember the first few Thursday night games last season, they were really atrocious. People were wanting their Amazon Prime refund. Denver played like a handful of the first few Thursday games. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So, did you see the advertisement for the new like state-of-the-art Disney Sunday morning game over in the UK?
We're
excited. The kids and I are excited.
I understand what it is, but I did see it.
All right. So who do you got here? We got our first London game of the year. We're kicking off 9:30 a.m. These London games, I feel like defenses aren't quite as sharp, but I feel like the passing offenses aren't quite as sharp either. I mean, it's the Falcons, okay, going up against the Jags. Well, let's go through these, Steve. Give me your pick.
Well, normally I would have said I don't think the Jaguars fall to 1-3, but until they start playing actual football, I think the Falcons can sweep this one out.
So the Falcons run offense, clearly. They should be. They are 5th in the NFL, 8th in yards per carry. Their passing offense is 22nd. On the other hand, the Jaguars' run defense is 5th. And their run defense is 8th in yards allowed per carry. So Jags' run defense, pretty solid, man. So the Falcons are going to have their work cut out. It's like the Falcons' strength going into the Jaguars' strength on defense. And they have very fast linebackers. So the Jaguars have fast defense. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to really put Bijan Robinson's skills to the test. I think he's up for the challenge. And then conversely, Steve, the Falcons' passing defense is 7th in yards allowed per pass. Pretty good, but 20th overall in DVOA. So compared to the Jaguars passing offense of 21st, 18th in yards per pass, they're kind of middle of the pack in passing defense, passing offense, and their run offense has not been good. Not been good.
I think for Jacksonville, the bright spot has been ETN so far this season. And based on what you're saying, it only seems like that'll be the guy to play from the Jaguars this week.
I dig it, man. Yeah, I dig it. ETN's another interesting 2021 guy that I would like to look up on COMC as well, because he is got a bell cow role right now, and he did lead college football in 2019 in broken tackles. Can't forget that. And he's already had 49 rushing attempts, 4.2 yards per carry. Not bad. It's a pretty solid sample size through 3 games, including 11 receptions for 79 receiving yards, 1 total touchdowns to RB 14 in fantasy points per game right now. I like it, Steve. I think that's your pick here. Yeah, I think that's what I would. I think that's, if I was doing some pick'em slips, I would probably lean in that direction. I may go with some defensive pick'ems in this game. Honestly, I'm probably not going to touch pick'ems in this game, but I'm gonna say the Jaguars win this one. I'm going to disagree with you and say the Jags win this one, just because the UK is like a home game for them these days.
They do play a lot of games there. I don't like to see teams like fall from grace like that. But the Jaguars they're not as bad as the Bears, but they just haven't looked good at all. Whereas the Falcons have looked at least formidable.
Yeah. I think the Jags are going to start to put things together a little bit better. And Doug Peterson, not fully involved in the offensive play calling right now. So that was one question they asked him in the press this week. And he's not calling the plays on offense. He's letting his offensive coordinator doing it. So if he gets his fingers back into that, that'll definitely infuse some more creativity and probably some more production there. I think the Jaguars are one of those teams that get better as the year goes on, and they're probably better at the end of the year than they are right now. I still look at Trevor Lawrence as being like this really young kid, so I feel like he's still got a lot of growth to do, But Steve, let's move on, because we got fireworks in this next game. Highest point total on the week. This should be probably the most exciting game at 1 p.m. to watch on Sunday. Dolphins at Bills. How can it not be? You got a massive AFC East division matchup here in Buffalo. Weather should be great. Should be good. I don't know, but we'll check it at game time. But it should be pretty good at this time of year. And 2-1 Bills hosting the 3-0 Dolphins just put up 70 points against the Broncos. Steve, who do you got?
I'm actually shocked that Buffalo is such a heavy favorite. Now, I wonder if that's just because New Yorkers bet so heavily on their own team, and that's why. But they beat them last year. I don't see why they wouldn't beat them again this year. I'll definitely take Miami here.
Well, we've got the Bills' run defense as currently 3rd overall in DVOA, but 30th in yards allowed per carry. So this is fantastic if they're playing real light boxes and playing soft against the run. Then this Dolphins run offense, which is currently 1st in the NFL and 12th in yards per carry, is just going to destroy the Bills run defense. And then the Dolphins passing offense, of course, is 1st in DVOA, 1st in yards per pass. And the Bills passing defense is 22nd in yards allowed per pass. So from that standpoint, I'm like, wow, man, this is going to be interesting. This should be a pretty high scoring game. The Bills run offense is 4th in yards per carry. The Bills run defense, or the Dolphins run defense, is one of the worst in the league right now. 29th, man. But their passing defense has been good. And the Bills passing offense has not been so good. The Bills passing offense is actually below average. They're ranking 28th in yards per pass right now. That's pretty wild. I gotta look at some advanced metrics here on your boy Josh Allen, man.
Yeah, when the steam started building up for the Dolphins last year, I think that there was only a handful of us that took them against the Bills, and they did beat them that first time. And then obviously after Tua got hurt, that's basically an entirely different team, if you will, with Skylar Thompson. But the way they're playing right now, obviously it's not a guarantee, but you got to look at that and be like, if they can do half of that every week, is there a team that can hang with them?
They're not throwing the ball deep. I'm looking here. Josh Allen has only had 5 deep ball attempts. That's passes over 20 yards, whereas Tua's had 13. There's a big difference there. So there's some interesting decisions going on there in Buffalo. They have been playing pretty good. It looks like they've been throwing the ball at a pretty decent rate compared to the run still. 36 and a half pass attempts per game, which ranks top 10 among quarterbacks right now. So I think this shapes up to be a good game. I think this is like one where you gotta have exposure both ways. I know that you probably have to pay up, but this is what we did last week, man. Who the heck is Stuart Skinner? Oh, that's a hockey pickup.
Nice
man,
stat.
hell of a mustache. Hell of a mustache. So turns out Tua could have easily been named Stuart at birth. 273 on the passing yards prop for Tua. That's pretty juicy, man. You got 2 out of 3 right now where he's hit that. Just didn't quite get there against New England. And guess what, Steve? I think he's going to get Jalen Waddle back this week. You know, the concussion protocol. You missed the 1 week. You come back the second week. So he's been doing this past week with no Jalen Waddle. I mean, this is crazy, man. I mean, how do you not go over on these Miami and Buffalo players this weekend?
And what he did last week, he did in less than 4 quarters because he got pulled. So I think it's a good play.
Yeah, and you want to sprinkle Raheem Mostert? I mean, you could easily put together 5 pick'ems from this game, whether it's Tyreek. Actually, Tyreek, he's got a 87.5, 157, 40, 215. At
New England, they must have had like 3 guys on him or something. But that's the thing is Belichick he's notorious for taking your best player out of the game. So
yeah, that's that. Hey, New England's good at that. Buffalo's not going to be able to do that. No way. So
I was hoping for a Durham Smythe line, Andy.
Yeah, I only got these 3 lines right now for Miami. So I don't know if Raheem does Raheem. Yeah, he definitely gets action in the receiving game as well. So I would just put him on the combo of rushing and receiving. And then you bring it back, or you could take Raheem altogether because we don't know the workload split could change a little bit this week between A-Chain and Raheem. Raheem is a pretty old guy. I mean, it's not like he's a spring chicken, man. So I'm sure he's dealing with some little bruise or banged up thing, or maybe he's just so used to being beaten up and injured at this point, he just doesn't really bother him.
Well, what do we got on the Bills side?
Maybe all right, Bills
round it out there.
269. I mean, come on, and we got 308 total.
I don't. He hasn't been hitting those yardages.
I mean, Washington has had a really good defense. Like when I look at Washington's passing defense has been 9th in the NFL through 2 games. So they've been above average. So I'll give them just like a situational. Plus they were in positive game script a lot there.
There's a lot of different lines though.
Yeah, the Vegas game I think is a little bit more indicative of what we could see, but Miami's going to push that. So I just think if we're painting a picture where Tua's going over, well, by golly, Josh Allen's going over. You know what I'm saying?
You mean to tell me you don't want the half interception line? I'm
Oh,
appalled. I'm appalled, Andy.
oh man, the coin flip.
Well, what's he looking like? I'm pretty sure he's got one a game so far.
He did have. Well, he had.
Oh, 1-3. Yeah.
He had 3 in week 1 against the Jets, and then at Washington he had 1.
Definitely a better choice than the fumble one.
Oh yeah, they had a fumble. They had a fumble one. That's funny.
Even the completions one. Look at the completions. He's probably hit that, even if he hasn't hit the yardage.
23.5.
It doesn't show.
Yeah, I'd have to pull him up on a different website, but yeah, I get your point. It's going to be close. I think it's a pretty competitive line. Let's see. Completion percentage has been good so far this year, 72%.
There you go. That's gonna have to be.
Yeah, it's been on 72% of all attempts.
Let's see if I can find it too.
So, yeah, I think I mean you're right there when you look at it, you know.
So his completions are 29, 31, and 20. 20 was against the Redskins or Commanders. Soon to be Redskins again.
Yeah. So the completion number is pretty good. I'm fine. What do you think? Which one you want to go with, Steve? I'll let you pick.
I like that just because we haven't seen a huge total in passing yards, but a little more consistency in the number of completions.
Okay. So we're going completions. Who's he completing the ball to? Gabe. Well, we know Diggs. Diggs is at hit. What? Diggs is hit over on this line every single week. That's easy.
What about what's his name? The defensive back though for Miami, the really good one that they might stick on. It's Xavier. What's his name? Xavier something.
Yeah, Xavier Woods or something. Yeah, Xavier Howard.
Yeah, Xavier.
He's all right.
Yeah,
he's all right. Let's look at the wide receiver cornerback matchup chart.
I'm curious.
Justin Jefferson.
Good.
No, I'm looking for Stephon Diggs. It was good. They're giving him a good score here on PFF this week against all their defenders. Their grades are very descriptive based on film study. So it's pretty good, I think, contextual evidence-based grades during the season from week to week.
Interesting.
It's not as good as the matchup Tyreek Hill's got at the top.
Man, dude. That's gonna be a show. That's gonna be a show, man. Every week, man. That guy's just gonna put a show on.
So I'm going Diggs higher on the receptions. Dalton Kincaid at 23.5. Man, that's
Are we at,
one of the.
Oh no, we're at 4 still. Okay.
Yeah, I want to put one more. It's probably just Gabe Davis. It should be just Gabe Davis.
Reception.
Gabe Davis.
Well,
Yeah, I'm going for it. I know it's kind of risky, but I'm going for it. He's got the targets to get over 3 each game, and that's ultimately, I think, what we want to chase. So I'm going for this.
If you're thinking he's going to complete, X amount of passes at a high completions and team reception.
Oh, so I can't combine completions and same team receptions.
What?
Yeah, look, I tried to put in 10 completions and same team receptions cannot be combined. So I gotta change I gotta either go with the yardage on Diggs,
weird,
which is fine. So we'll just exit this and we'll go higher on the yards and we'll submit that way. There you go. There you go. All right.
And the nice thing is, it's obviously not always optimal to take all overs, but it is the day before the lines move, as you saw with the Musgrave one. And that can work to your advantage. If you're seeing slips posted early in the week, those lines can move either way. So it can help you or hurt you.
All right, Steve. Bryce Young's coming back this week. Panthers are 0-3. Andy Dalton got his time in the sun. His hair turned even more red. Now it's time for Bryce to get back out there and throw at his pathetic 4.5-yard average distance of target. Can he even hang with the Vikings at all? Like, is this just a instant win for the Vikings finally to get their first win?
Man, I hate to say that it's not instant, but I think this is finally where the Vikings get a win, the first win of the season.
Hey, there we go. I'm in agreement. I think somebody here in this Vikings run game can be showcased. And if obviously these Vikings receivers are going to be showcased. Yeah. This Panthers passing offense worse in the league.
Panthers is on IR, so they are a bit impaired in the secondary, and they just haven't looked good.
Yeah, and their run defense, the Panthers' run defense ranks 31st in DVOA and 22nd in yards allowed per carry. So bring on this is the time for Alexander Mattison to bounce back, get Cam Akers a few carries under his belt. If these guys don't do good in this game, something's wrong, man. Something's wrong.
Can KJ Osborne keep the streak going too? Man, he's looked not amazing, but definitely outpacing most people's expectations.
Well, that's insane. Kirk Cousins feeding 4 fantasy relevant players right now. I mean, Kirk Cousins is your QB1 right now. I mean, it's insane. And it's going to stay that way until the Vikings, and it's going to stay that way all season. We said this before the season. I said it so many times because of how bad their defense is. I mean, that's just...
that was a draft strategy back in the day with taking Drew Brees, because Drew Brees, that he could sling it, and you knew the Saints defense sucked. It was the perfect storm for a lot of fantasy points.
Yeah. All right. Broncos at Bears. Another battle of the 0-3s here. A bunch of winless teams in these matchups. 46-point over-under, though, just like the last game. We got a pretty solid over-under point total right at that 45-46 number here. The home team bias aside, Steve, who do you got here?
Man. Jalen Johnson's out with a hamstring. I want to say Bears by 3, but I don't even know, man. This could go either way. I would actually take the under more than anything else, but man, I hate to say it. I'll still take Bears by 3. You know what? I'm going to go with my gut and Bears by 3, but I would take the under.
Yeah, I think I would love to see Justin Fields get some more designed runs, and
I think the
get
Bears
him out of the pocket.
The run here, because they went from like the second most run heavy team in the league last year to basically not feeding anyone at all. So I think that they try to establish the run and win football like in the traditional fashion a bit more, and kind of like build from the ground with Fields, because if they don't, the season's going to be over pretty soon.
Well, this is the game for them, because the Broncos defense has not played that great. I mean, they're 28th against the pass and 20th against the run, and their offense has played pretty solid. So, if the Broncos are scoring points, can the Bears get their act together on offense in this game? This is their game, man. At home, game 4. Get it going here. Like, I think this is kind of like a no excuse type game, So this game could really have a lot of implications. And so I'm going to give the edge to the Bears at home.
And loser goes.
I have too many friends as Bear fans. I do have a few Denver Broncos fans as friends as well. I know there's a couple Questers that are Denver Broncos fans. They got a strong fan base, but I'm going to give the edge to the Bears at home here.
It hasn't been discussed. I know last year it was obvious that there was teams tanking, but do you think that in a low key way, the Broncos could be tanking for like a Caleb Williams kind of thing.
That's what Sean Payton's thinking. Yeah, get rid of this.
I mean, they didn't
Get
they
rid of
didn't
this.
pay him
Get
all
rid of
that
this
money for nothing.
weirdo Russell Wilson. Yeah. Although Russell's been pretty quiet this year, man. He's a hard worker, but he has gotten kind of weird the past couple of years. So,
Ironically, he's like the QB6 in fantasy, though.
oh, he's chucking it, man. He's chucking it. They're spreading the ball around a lot, but I think you have a lot of new people gelling here with Denver, so they could get better as the season goes on. Like I almost did a double take on this game and said to myself, "What am I thinking? Taking the Bears here? I should be taking the Broncos." I almost did,
see
dude.
it going either way. They both look horrendous right now. So.
Yeah. All right. Woo, man, these schedule makers doing a great job this year, because next up we had the Ravens at the Browns, both 2-1, division matchup, AFC North, outdoors in Cleveland. It could have some win here any given Sunday. Deshaun Watson's coming off the best game in a Browns uniform he's had to date. Lamar Jackson's coming off a very good game right now. Both these offenses are looking pretty good coming into this game. So,
I think
Steve,
if you asked me this question last week, I would have probably leaned towards the Ravens, but I'm actually going Browns here. It was just starting to look like Deshaun Watson was just not ever going to shake the rust off, but he actually looked respectable, above average, maybe even pretty good last week. But it's going to take more than just one of those outings to convince me, and it should take more than just that to convince you guys as well that he's legit. But I think where they have looked good is on defense. Man, the pass rush looks good. And I got news for you. That Ravens O-line has looked really bad. I don't know if you saw how many times the Colts were in the backfield with Lamar, basically every other play. So Myles Garrett might be getting a couple sack lunches this week, more than he can eat. He's going to have to share some with his team. I do like the Browns this week.
All right, Browns at home. They've had the highest run offense. Well, they've been first with the Dolphins in yards per carry, 11th overall, and their passing offense has been 26th overall. But like we said, they're coming off a good game from last week. Deshaun Watson threw for almost 300 yards, and they're both of these teams' defenses. Like, you look at this point total, 40 points. This seems way too low. If I was betting on the over-under here, I would be putting my money on the over, and I would give the edge to the Browns at home as well, Steve. But this one, I am very tempted to take an over slip of pick'ems for the passing games here for both the Ravens and the Browns, because I bet you they're pretty low. I'm going to look at them real quick because I think they're going to be pretty low. 231 passing yards. I knew it was going to be low. Come on, that's an easy layup. Look at this, dude. Look at this. Come on.
Here, let's see. So last week the Colts had 4 sacks on Lamar, and that doesn't even do justice to how many times they either hit him and he didn't go down or just missed him. They were on him constantly, and I think that the pass rush for the Browns is even that much better.
I love the amount of targets that Elijah Moore's getting. He's even getting rushing attempts.
It's going to eventually turn into a higher yield on a per touch basis as they start gelling a bit better. So wait, did that say 4.5 receptions for Amari Cooper?
Yeah, 4.5 receptions, only 60 receiving yards. I know this is just priced way too low. This is priced way too low. Way too low. So I'm fine with taking the receptions clearly or the yardage. Steve, your pick. Receptions or yardage here?
Let's go receptions for more. I like that.
Receptions. I'm going to go receptions for Cooper and yardage for Moore.
Fair.
Or do you want it the other way around? I think they're both pretty much the same. They're both pretty much the same. Looks like Cooper's getting higher quality targets, at least, or a lower drop rate, or something there. There's a low conversion rate of targets to receptions for Moore in the first 2 games. Not last week. It's been great. So there's our Browns. So now we bring it over.
Up here. Congrats to Ryan. Pulled a silver CJ Stroud Prism and a gold laser Gibbs, man. Very nice.
Let's go, dude. That silver CJ Stroud's $100 card right now, Ryan. Yeah, man. Dude. He couldn't wait. Did he pull that tonight? He's supposed to be ripping these mosaics, but I know he gets itchy over there with some sealed product, man. All right, so Lamar, look at this passing line for Lamar, 200 yards. That's silly. This game, I know the Browns passing defense has been fantastic. 2nd overall right now in the NFL. 2nd. So it's not going to be an easy challenge. But
I like the rushing total better.
You like the rushing total better? I think it's a trap, man.
You think so?
I think it's a trap. The Browns run defense has been 6th overall. I mean, they've been good. They've been really good.
Yeah, but the rushing yards generated from the QB position usually come from a scramble, like a broken play, rather than like a designed run.
Yeah, I think. So
if you look at last week when he was getting a barrage of hits in the backfield, look, he managed to put up 100 yards still.
Yeah, Myles Garrett's coming in hot too every time, isn't he? You're right. Well, you got a good point here, Steve. You got a good point, and that does paint a pretty good. All right, I'm going with the rushing yards. So then, what do we do with the bring along, or do we just stop here at 4? We go with Justin Tucker. Go with Justin Tucker. That's a good pick, right? Fizzled out drives. Justin Tucker basically hitting 60-yarders.
Yeah, so he
automatic.
Would need, to get 6, he would need.
I'm either that or I'm in on Zay. I'm liking the Zay line's pretty easy too.
Is Odell still out?
No line on him. I know he was dealing with something. You know, the other talking back about the Browns for a second, Kareem Hunt's already battling 2 different injuries. I don't know if you got that.
I know Andrews hasn't been doing a whole lot. What were his last couple games looking like?
Dude, yeah. I mean, just
not
getting the touchdowns. He used to get double the amount of targets as well. He's playing like a typical tight end right now. And
I mentioned it when we were doing our best ball drafts, man. A lot of people were going Lamar and him, boom, boom, 2, 3. And I don't know, man. There was just something telling me that this wasn't the year for him. And here's the thing is that the reason he was the focal point before is because they didn't have a guy they like to throw to, and they do in Zay Jones now. Or Zay Flowers, excuse me.
Yeah. So I'm going with Zay. Odell's also going to be out. He didn't even practice today. I get it. He's a veteran, so maybe it's just a rest day. But I mean, if he's not, he hasn't even practiced at all this week with an ankle. So I don't know. It's a true questionable. Keep an eye out. He's not up here, so that definitely kind of shows an indication he may not play, which is just going to be more targets for Zay, maybe some more rushing yards for Lamar. So there you have it. Another slip in the book, Steve. We're racking them up this week, baby.
Love it,
man. All right.
So fun.
Steelers at Texans, 1 p.m. CBS. Steelers now a surprising 2-1 because Kenny Pickett.
Not looking so hot there. You know what? I've been sweet on the Texans every week. I'm going to stay with that. I think that they just keep ascending every week, honestly. So I'm going to go with Texans.
I love it, man. I love it. CJ Stroud has been throwing the ball more, on average 40 pass attempts per game. True completion percentage close to 70. True passer rating at 87. and a 7.5 yards per attempt. That's a full yard more than Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett's true passer rating has been a 55. Not good. Not good. His total quarterback rating right now through 3 games is a 12.3. Hey, that's pulled right off of playerprofiler.com. I don't know if that's a typo or if that's accurate, but you guys go look it up yourself. I mean, He's not too far behind Trevor Lawrence in that regard. Like, he's made 5 deep ball attempts, but doesn't look like he's completed any.
Okay, here.
I'm missing something data. I think there's some data missing on Kenny.
Point than Joshua Dobbs, Andy.
There must be some data missing on Kenny Pickett in this what I just read out. So maybe that's not accurate. But
he's been pretty fortunate that defenders have dropped as many of his interceptions as they have. I don't know if you've seen any of the action. But
oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. The Steelers always play in prime time, so I've gotten to watch quite a bit of him, and it hasn't been great. Hasn't been great at all.
They definitely need Deontay Johnson back, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think Pickett's the answer. I've been echoing that since the draft, and I guess we'll see. But man, I think Stroud's going to be exceptional this game, and clearly Houston is not the favorite here, but I do like them to win this one.
So they've been playing pretty fast. If I look at their pace of play for the Steelers, they've been playing pretty fast. Texans and he's been pretty good on play action. Kenny Pickett's been pretty good on play action. When I'm looking at his play action completion percentage, it's his best stat across all of his metrics. So that kind of lines up good. And then you look at the Texans' run defense; it's not been great, but their passing defense has been pretty decent, like middle of the pack. And overall, the Texans' offense has been, their passing offense has been a lot better. And I think the balls kind of bounced their way a little bit for them last week. So that always helps. This is going to be a tough game, man. This is a true test. If CJ Stroud can get a victory here at home against the Steelers, this is big time, man. Big time. So I don't know. I'm looking at this. If I saw Laramie Tunsil questionable, but he's a veteran All-Pro offensive lineman for the Texans, so maybe just rest like Odell as well. But if he's out there, then that's definitely, they're going to need him because the pressure rate on the Steelers is high. That's a big factor. And letting these plays develop, getting these drives to go downfield. But at the same time, Will Anderson's going to be all over Pickett. I like to go for the Texans here at home too, man. This one I think has got a sneaky potential to shoot out as well. I think this one goes over as well, 42.
The thing I like is teams that have like positive momentum, like the Texans do. I think it just makes it easier to want to pick them because Steelers have barely hung on for their lives thanks to their defense. And, there's going to be some weeks where the defense isn't going to be able to keep them in games.
Yeah. I might have to come back. I think this one's worth revisiting and building a slip around or building a roster around. Definitely a lot of like card implications there, whether you're looking at Calvin Austin or Jaylen Warren kind of on the Steelers, or maybe you're investing in some defensive players like Joey Porter Jr. in the card market. I think his role is going to be expanded this weekend with some other defensive injuries to the Steelers. And then, the Texans, we looked at a lot of CJ Stroud cards earlier. Challenging, but not impossible to get into, but definitely challenging.
Tank Dell, Andy. Don't forget, we found him in the top 10 receiver. Tank Dell.
Yeah, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. So he's feeding multiple highly relevant receivers right now. All right, brother. Rams, Colts.
So I think
47 points over under. I think this line is anticipating the return of Anthony Richardson. He should be back this week.
He should be back. I think here's what I'm a bit worried about is you saw the Rams O-line kind of get exposed this week. And that being said, the Colts have looked really good in the pass rush. They're the 7th ranked fantasy defense currently. So they're sneaky good on defense. I'm not sold on Anthony Richardson yet. So I do think it'll be a close game. So it's going to come down to defense. I think that the under is the best play here. But I will actually take the Rams.
Right on, man. Yeah. You're going Rams, huh? This is a tough one. This is a tough one for me. I think I may give too much weight to home field advantage. I like AR, man. I like AR, but this is gonna be I think a pretty close matchup here, man. I'm gonna go Colts in this one. I'm gonna go Colts just by 1 score, only because the Rams running defense is bad. It's one of the worst in the league right now. What I'm looking at, 31st in yards allowed per carry, 30th overall. So just by that metric alone, maybe AR doesn't run as much, but that like we talked about earlier, that sets up real nice for Zach Moss. And then you got AR taking a couple runs, freezing linebackers, doing his thing. Michael Pittman Jr., an absolute stud. Rams passing defense, about middle of the pack. About middle of the pack, Steve. So I'm gonna go with. But this game could be interesting here. That Rams passing offense has been awesome. So I'll go with the Colts at home, Steve.
Right on. Yeah, that's that's such a close one. It's really hard to say, but I just going with the gut on that one. Andy, I hate to break it to you here, but I think the Saints got this one this week, man.
What? With Jameis Winston at quarterback? At home?
Bad, to be fair. And he actually gives them a much better field stretching capability with that cannon. That defense for the Saints is really, really good, man. Really good. And you know this to be true. If there's any team that always screws over the Bucs, it's always the Saints. They have some kind of secret weapon that makes them better than normal against the Buccaneers. It's just true.
But, Steve, yes, they do, but not always in the Superdome. Every time we've upset the Saints has always been in the Superdome. It's always been in the Superdome. So, I'm just saying, I know you get Alvin Kamara back this week, but you're also starting Jameis Winston.
Hey, don't hate on Jameis, man.
I cannot believe
a W, Andy. He's ready to eat a W.
I cannot believe. Shout out to our chat. Yeah, shout out to our old intro made by Nebraska, our 309 collector, 319, whatever. But Brandon. Shout out to Brandon. But the Bucs here, I can't believe this over under 40.5 total points. Are you kidding me? Why? That's so low because of I get it. The Saints passing defense, great, top 5 in the NFL right now. The Bucs passing defense, pretty solid, 6th in yards allowed per pass, 15th overall. The Bucs run defense, 13th overall, 12th in yards allowed per carry. So we got a defensive battle setting up here. The Bucs run offense has been terrible. Rachaad White still seems like he's already 28, 29. It looks like he's already taken 3,000 carries out there. But to his credit, Sean Tucker couldn't do anything either. He got swallowed up at the line, man. The Eagles front seven is ferocious, man. It's no joke. No joke. So, yeah, man, this one's going to be tough, but I don't know. I think our offense has been playing a lot better than what people thought. And there was a couple passes that just didn't quite get connected on between Baker and Mike Evans Monday night. That doesn't happen. One thing I do want to check on real quick is the injury status of Marshawn Lattimore, because this battle between Marshawn
Evans,
Lattimore
so
and
he is a thorn in his side, man. He's the one guy that can really keep Evans in check.
that's it, man. He's the guy. So I got to look up the injury status on Lattimore real quick.
I don't know if you saw. I'm sure you watched, Andy. It looked like Devin White actually looked alive out there this week. He made a couple plays.
Yeah, and Devin White wasn't actually at practice today. He played the full game, but he wasn't at practice today. They said it could just be precautionary, like a veteran rest day. It's nothing serious, but it's just maintenance on, kind of giving him a veteran rest day. I don't know why I'm not finding it.
While you're tinkering there, it popped up that Christian Watson now expected to play Thursday night.
All right, man. There we go. So that changes, and there might be props coming out for Christian Watson. No, Lattimore's good to go, man. It's going to be on between him and Mike Evans. It's going to be super interesting.
It's the kind of game that could be an under, honestly. Like the typical Bucks Saints games are like 16-9.
I gotta go Bucks. We're gonna win with
It's you know what? Neither team is really jumping off the page, but Saints have looked pretty good, even with a mediocre or non-existent running game. With Kamara back, I'm a little worried, man.
All right, Washington Commanders that are actually 2-1, but we're coming off a game. And I put it on the thumbnail: buy or sell Sam Howell. Steve, he threw 4 interceptions last week.
You got to kind of remember that it's his 3rd or 4th career game, basically, at this point. So too soon to say, but not the direction you'd want to be looking. He has had a lot of turnovers. And you may start to think that a couple more games like that may jeopardize their season and thus have them put Mr. Brisket back in. But he's going to be able to come out this week and play. But, man, following off a 4 interception game and then having to play the Eagles the next week in Philly, not looking good, man. I think the Eagles easily win this one, even though the Washington defense is actually really good.
Brock Purdy up, probably a record high that I've seen in this app. 80% on his base prism PSA 10 to 190, 70% on his silver prism PSA 10 up to almost 1,000, and Sam Howell's down 20%, 50, 58, and 242 for his silver prism. So just now a fraction, a fourth of what Brock Purdy is trading at.
Yeah, I would be leery. He's walking a tight line right now.
The Eagles are a tough team. I don't think there's any way. I know the Commanders have given the Eagles fits, but that was in a totally different situation with Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, and let's echo what we said last year. We said, well, they have an easy schedule, so therefore they're going to go to the playoffs. But it wasn't just because of that. We knew they were good. And then people said, well, they have a hard schedule this year, so they're not going to do good. Clearly not the case. 3-0, probably going to be 4-0.
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles here too. DeAndre Swift been a big revelation, man. It seems like, especially the fact I noticed Kenny Gainwell was wearing a flak jacket. He may have had a microfracture in one of his ribs, and so they are easing him back into action. So it's not like he's going to take over any type of bell cow role anytime soon. Plus, Swifty's hot right now. Swifty is really hot. Swifty is all the talk, man, for the Eagles and for the Chiefs.
When you're averaging 160 yards a game over 2 games, it's easy to be hyped up.
All right, Bengals finally getting on the board. Big game from Jamar Chase, throwing the ball a lot more in this game. Going up against the Titans. who have not been playing good. In fact, lot of speculation on the Titans right now, Steve. Who do you got in this one? Bengals, are they starting to pick up steam?
So Burrow had a full practice today. It wasn't your traditional practice. It was more of the walkthrough variety. But from what I read, it's the first one of those he's had this season for a Wednesday. So that's positive. He made it through the whole game without any setbacks. If you notice, the leg is obviously bothering him. He's not throwing too far downfield, which sucks because the Titans' secondary, not the best. In fact, probably one of the weaker ones in the league. Whereas their run defense is really, really good. That being said, the Titans' O-line is probably the worst in the league. And the Bengals' front four looked really good this week. So just on defense and the fact that it's Burrow alone, they inch it out. Maybe a 6-point win. I got the Bengals.
Boom. Man, I think you're spot on here. Man. Bengals as well. All right, Raiders at Chargers, 4 o'clock. We only have 3 4 o'clock games and a Monday night game, but they get exciting because you get into the AFC West now. You get a divisional matchup. We get a different quarterback for the Raiders. This is exciting. Herbert throwing the ball a ton this year and throwing it deeper. You're trying to totally, he's trying to totally shake off the rust from last year. They get a home game, 48.5 over under. Both teams 1 and 2 divisional matchups. Steve, who you got?
So they pulled it off last week without Eckler. They pulled it off last week without Mike Evans for a majority of the game.
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams. I think that they still have enough firepower to win again, but it is actually a possibility that Eckler does come back this week. But let's be honest, they have no running game without him, and if he comes back, I think it'll be a cakewalk. But they'll manage to make it through the game, and I think pull the win out. O'Connell could have a decent game if he plays, but
that's it, man. This is the week for O'Connell. To break out, and if his cards could be the biggest winner.
The Chargers is the secondary you would want to play against next to the Vikings for your first.
Yeah, their passing defense has been the worst in the league right now. They're 32nd in DVOA and 32nd against yards allowed per pass. So right now, this is Aiden O'Connell's coming out party. Like, wow, that hit the like button for that, guys.
Hell yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I don't know if they win this game necessarily because it's going to be a shootout. I'm definitely going to be looking at this game to build some stacks around and some slips, some overs. I'm going overs on these passing offenses as well. Yeah, this is another one of those big time matchups. I think you gotta tackle this weekend in a lot of formats. Fantasy. Pick'ems on Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code Quest. Get that 100% instant deposit bonus, guys. And then in cards as well. Aiden O'Connell. We looked at him earlier, man. There's values to be had.
Always a tough team to predict and bet against is the Patriots, man. Dallas
and the Cowboys just lost to the Cardinals.
Dak
Prescott looks like a hot piece of garbage, man.
Here's one thing to take away from that, and it's maybe not that the Cowboys are bad, but I think that no one really gave the Cardinals defense a shot in hell. Like, the Cardinals defense is actually not bad. Cardinals offense, that's a whole different story. But Cardinals defense, clearly not that bad. Some learning experiences there. As far as, and here's just a little piece of advice. Anytime you see like the best team in the league or one of the best teams in the league play one of the worst, that's almost always a game that I never want anything to do with. As far as the line, picking the winner, there's always a heavy on one side, and it almost always disappoints.
Because it's at any given Sunday, like severe underdog, chip on the shoulder. Oh man, it's a recipe for stuff to go wrong.
So we got Patriots plus 7. We got the spread team total 43.5. And Dallas is a minus 296.
Yeah, Dak Prescott's only taken 4 deep shots this year. 4. That's it, man.
They haven't really, you know what though? Well, okay, with the exception of this last week, he hasn't really had to. I mean, the defense
That's true.
has had them ahead by so much. So it's
Right.
really even hard to gauge what Prescott's fantasy stock is going to be for the rest of the year. But I think with losing a D back of that caliber, that there is a hit the defense takes.
Yeah, Trayvon Diggs out for the season with a torn ACL.
I could see this being like a narrower game, like Cowboys just edging it out. So I wouldn't take like the -7, but I think.
All right, so we look at right. You talked about the game script, but this past week against Arizona in a negative game script, he did throw the ball more in terms of quantity. His attempts went up from 24 against New York in week 1 to 40 against Arizona this past week, but a completion percentage of 62.5 with 249 passing yards. So the A-dot is pretty low. And, he had that interception. So I didn't actually see that interception. So I don't know if it was like, I get people, if it was on the receiver, then excuse me, but if it was egregious on Dak, which I believe it
The
was.
one at the end of the game, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
He threw to a receiver that had 3 guys standing around him, so that was definitely on him.
Great decision, decision, Dak.
But yeah, I think that the Patriots have looked formidable every week, but they haven't looked good. And yeah, I get it. Arizona just beat the Cowboys. Naturally, everyone's going to be leaning away from the Cowboys, which is why you should be leaning toward them.
Yeah, I'm Cowboys all day, man. Mac Jones has made me like the Patriots less now.
Because of the jock kick or whatever.
Yeah. Plus because I own a Mac Jones card, and I'm like, come on, man, what are you doing? You already are fighting an uphill battle, and
so
here you are
to hit the deep ball on the field, not on the field, right?
Yeah. All right, this one. Now, come on. Now, you talk about the underdog. The Cardinals are now going to the 49ers in San Francisco. Is there any way in hell that they win this?
This is the kind of game that, again, you stay away from the point spread on, man. Yeah, the Niners, I think, are a level better than the Cowboys. I don't think there's any chance they lose this game, but I would absolutely stay away from point spread.
That 14-point spread, no. I don't. I'm staying away from this game altogether. I do think it's exciting you get Brandon Ayuk back, who was an absolute alpha stud in week 1. So and part of week 2 before he had to leave. So he comes back this week, recovering from a minor shoulder injury. That's exciting. And the rest of San Francisco seems to be pretty healthy. And man, I don't see any way at all that the Cardinals get through this. But you're right. I don't want to touch it because I think it could be fairly close.
It's what's known as a trap. Travis.
Yeah.
In the chat.
Yeah, it's definitely that's
we
definitely a trap.
With the Cowboys last week, and when you're like, hey man, there's no way that team can lose. Yep, that's when they lose. So don't fall for the trap.
Yeah, because I mean, even the Cardinals like defense, their run defense is right in the middle of the pack, pass defense right in the middle of the pack. So it's like I don't know.
They're not turning the ball over though. I mean that they're playing like respectable football. They're not obviously knocking anybody's socks off, but they're doing
great. There's a great card play. There's a great card play to make on the 49ers. Do you know who it is, Steve?
Is it Ayuk?
Well, maybe.
Well, we've been talking about him. I figured you were talking about somebody else, but
he's actually. I mean, he makes sense because he's coming off an injury dip. I just think he's pretty obvious. So I think like I haven't really seen that much of a dip on him. A little one, little one, but not much of one. Now, I was actually thinking of the run offense. I was thinking of Elijah Mitchell.
I like
Have,
that.
yeah, have that stash because it's hard to find a decent 49ers running back that was actually drafted by the 49ers and that's young, got any type of, like within the first 2 to 3 years of their career. And if anything happened to CMC, Elijah Mitchell would step into a big role, and his values would immediately spike.
And if they
So
end up in a game script where they're ahead, by a lot,
yeah,
McCaffrey
that's
will
the
not
other
be
way.
out there. So while it seems like an
Yeah,
easy matchup on paper, like it could be the kind of game McCaffrey plays less than normal, and Mitchell plays more than normal. So just be careful.
all
Obviously, if
right.
you have McCaffrey, you're starting him. I'm not saying to bench him. Don't be silly,
Yeah, hell no.
but just be aware that if they get out to a huge lead, they're not going to be marching them out there.
Yeah. All right, Chiefs at the Jets Sunday night. This is the straw that breaks the camel's back that they're hiring Colin Kaepernick or Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz because, dear God, this is gonna be funny to watch. This is gonna be fun to watch. Like just from watch the end of Zach Wilson's career.
It's sad because I think that with a year or two behind Rodgers, he could have actually developed a bit more. And, obviously that's not the case now. But this is the kind of game that the Chiefs defense could actually be the highest scoring fantasy asset on the team this week.
The Chiefs defense. I love it. If I'm betting on anybody, if I'm making plays on anybody, it's the Jets run game and Brees Hall. I'm not going to Dalvin Cook, but I like Brees Hall. And I like Garrett Wilson, but he needs a quarterback.
Well, the problem, Andy, is that if they're in a massive negative game script and they're behind the whole game, the run goes out the window. That's the big problem. You know what I mean? So unless it's close and unless you're a dual threat running back where you're going to be in on passing plays, run game shot, the run game shot. So I don't know what to make of the Jets this week other than probably hide. Don't start any of these guys unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
You would be in a different situation if they were playing the Giants or the Seahawks, but this could end up a game where they're down by 21 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah. Sorry, Jets fans. No, I know you're not looking forward to this one. And then Monday night, 8:15, we have the Seahawks traveling to New York to play the Giants. Giants finally getting on the board here, 1-2, and Seahawks 2-1. Well, the Giants got on the board in week 2, and then they lost week 3 to the 49ers in that Thursday night game. And now they get the Seahawks, who are coming off that game finale win last week. Was it who do you got in this game, Steve?
Man, the Seahawks have looked pretty decent. The first 2 weeks, Geno looked like a deflated tire. And then this past week, he looked pretty good. So it's hard to say which Geno we're going to get. But the real question is, which Daniel Jones are we going to get? And I think that's a bigger factor this week because is this the new Daniel Jones that has somehow regressed, or is it the rest of the team that's holding them back realistically? I think without Barkley in there, I got to roll with the Seahawks.
I think I roll with the Seahawks too. No Barkley. You had a pretty good Seahawks run defense thus far, which before last year, that was a big struggle there. So numbers I'm looking at right now, Seahawks run defense is in the top 10 of the NFL. So I know it's only 3 weeks, but yeah, I say no Barkley. Yeah, I think you've had a pretty clear regression in Daniel Jones. I'm starting to think he was the 1-year wonder, not the Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith has looked pretty solid, and I think he's got like opportunity to grow. So I'm still really interested in the Seahawks offense, especially when you look at all their skill position weapons and talent they have there, man. So I got Seahawks here on the road as well.
If you look at Daniel Jones outside of Dable, the first really good season he had last year was the first season Saquon stayed healthy for the whole year.
Oh,
I don't think that there's any mystery that those two are in some way related. So until Saquon comes back, I'd be really worried about what he can do. I mean, he's getting outscored by, Kenny Pickett has more fantasy points right now. There's a lot of guys that do. So he's got his work cut out for him. But again, it's a long season. Whatever has happened, and only what happens moving forward is really the only thing that matters now.
That's it, guys. What happens moving forward is the only thing that really matters. Stop living in the past. Look forward to the future. Good luck in week 4, Steve. This has been a great show. Had a blast as usual. Guys, if you're still tuned in, make sure you subscribe. Check it out. Share with a friend. Check out all of our premium content. Love you guys.
Come see us in the Discord. Thanks for sticking around tonight.
Peace.